life I've barely spoken. Your words have been so broken. I've been under your hypnosis. Why did I sip that potion? I'm so done with holy ghosting. My birth, it is an omen. Lay me down up in the ocean until you see no motion. Right now I can barely focus. I'm showing no emotion. On your knees, show your devotion. My skin is black but golden. I'm not here for bragging, boasting. Ain't lying, I've been chosen. Mind is burning, heart's exploding. This is my magnum opus. Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? Ain't felt this good in a while. They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you're with me now. Tell me, are you with me now? Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot them, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now. You haters just in the crowd, but still I just look around. Are you with me now? Are you with me? Step in the fire, get ready to take it higher. Real coming out your amplifier. Y'all want every black man to be rich and proud. Why these weapons up and turn into shy, huh? Cell phone became your brother. Internet replaced your mother. You leaving homies on red. It's no wonder all your friends dead. Jealousy was a centerpiece, so my best friends turned to enemies. Sabotage my identity. Why they wanna treat me like a Kennedy? They wanna affect the legacy. Protect the heart, I cut off the extremities. I'll never be another piece in your recipe for social supremacy. Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? Ain't felt this good in a while. They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you're with me now. Tell me, are you with me now? Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot them, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now. You haters just in the crowd, but till I just look around. Are you with me now? Are you with me now? Whoa. Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? Ain't felt this good in a while. They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you're with me now. Tell me, are you with me now? Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot them, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now. You haters just in the crowd, but still I just look around. Are you with me now? Are you with me now? Whoa. I feel it coming now. It's too late to shut it down. Over the mountain now. Burning the valley down. I don't know where my mind is. Don't even know what time it is. Somebody stop the virus. I don't think I survived this. I feel it coming now. It's too late to shut it down. Over the mountain now. Burning the valley down. I don't know where my mind is. Don't even know what time is. Somebody stop the virus. Room full of bodies, but nothing but silence. Yeah, I'm quiet, but f*** all that shyness. Go crazy, turn this bitch into an asylum. You fly, but we ain't looking for pilots. I never bow down to a tyrant, His Highness. Even Jack said, f*** all them giants. What goes up comes down, man, that's basic science. Look at my iris and you'll see the fines. I'd rather not get involved with you. What's the problem, man? I'll solve all you sign. How you find when your time up? How you climb when your line stuck? Barbershop getting lined up. Yeah, your hair good, but your mind super clear. Uber everywhere. This sound like Superman is here. Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? Ain't felt this good in a while. They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you're with me now. Tell me, are you with me now? Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot them, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now. You haters just in the crowd, but still I just look around. Are you with me now? Are you with me now?
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ward Radio live stream. I am your host, Carton Ellis, and today I am joined in the studio, via Zoom, by none other than Luke Hansen, editor-in-chief of Ward Radio News, and Dr. Apocryphus himself, the associate professor of all things apocryphal, Jonah Barnes. And today we are going to be reacting to this brother from another mother, another appendage in the body of Christ, if you will, one Cameron Bertuzzi, in Capturing Christianity.
He's like an earlobe appendage. He's like your little toe.
He's the earlobe of Christ.
Yeah. He's like the little toe of the body of Christ.
Yeah, when we're all up in heaven and we're like introducing ourselves at the in the end days, like, oh, so, who are you? It's like, I was the earlobe, I was the big toe. You know what I'm saying?
He's the little toe. He only exists to make people mad. It's like, why do we have, you just hit it on stuff. And
we haven't even got, I haven't seen the clips yet, so I don't know whether or not to be pleased or to be mad at the guy. You know what I'm saying? So,
and before people get defensive, he dishes it out, so he needs to take it too.
Oh, does he really? Is this going to be?
He does.
Oh, bummer. Are we going to be doing a lot of debunking?
If we're on a spectrum of like Mike Winger to Trent Horn in terms of how good their approach and apologetics are against Mormonism. Trent. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like Trent's kind of like the good side. Had a few disappointing arguments in his debate, but he can conduct himself well. And then Mike Winger sounds confident, but just kind of makes up stuff about missionaries going over to people to brainwash them every night after they finish proselytizing. Cameron's more over in that Mike Winger category, unfortunately, but we're not just making claims. We've actually brought the receipts, unlike Cameron. And so we're going to...
Oh, is it that bad?
It's kind of bad.
Okay, so for those of you who are unfamiliar with our channel, we are all active members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We are indeed Christians, disciples of Christ, as best we can. We're flawed individuals, but we do our best to delight in truth, to denounce deception, and have fun. So,
you just call me flawed? Dude, I'm right here.
Okay, yes. In the words of the Apostle Paul, we indeed are all sinners. I will say...
geez.
Yeah, it goes from bad to worse, Jonah. It goes from bad to worse.
You invite me on, and then now I'm flawed. I'm a sinner.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry to hit your ego up like that, right? I do have to say one thing, though, guys. Like, I give credit where credit is due. And I think now that I've seen this guy's face, I recognize it from an interaction I believe he had with Jacob Hansen on an episode we did. But that is a hip looking studio. Like, we need to all invest stock in LED lights, because that looks pretty good. And unfortunately, a lot of these Christian apologists, see, this is what the Catholics get. This is what the Catholics get, all right? So I haven't seen these clips, and I hope he's not. Usually the toxicity is out of the evangelicals. And the Catholics, with that rich tradition, the Catholic richness.
All that indulgence money.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
Oh, yeah.
So he...
Oh, yeah.
That's like 600 years ago, bro.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. It's a joke.
So
Cameron, it was 400. It was 400. It wasn't 600. It was 400.
Cameron's a cool guy. I actually enjoy listening to Christian apologetics on YouTube, while I'm doing the dishes, while I'm cooking, sweeping, that kind of stuff, just for fun, not necessarily to try and find anti-Mormon stuff to debunk, just as I like hearing what they're saying. And sometimes they got really good stuff. Cameron's pretty good. He's pretty good. And one day, a couple months back, I just clicked on a video that said, I have absolute evidence that Muhammad is a false prophet. I'm like, okay, I'll listen to this. I always take it with a grain of salt whenever they're talking about other religions, but I like to know what it is they're saying. Because even if he doesn't know that much, he probably knows Islam better than I do. So I decided to check it out, and I'm listening to this video, and all of a sudden, for the first half of the video, he's going off on Joseph Smith in a video that's supposed to be his definitive proof that Muhammad is a false prophet.
I wasn't done complimenting the guy. I wasn't done complimenting the guy.
Luke, you're so mean, man.
And you jump in. I can't even say that he's got a cool hairdo.
Man. This is my lived experience with
Luke,
him.
the attack dog. Man,
seriously, bro.
I can't believe you.
No, I'm just kidding. So I'm telling you, this is just my theory. With the rich tradition of Catholicism, there's a confidence there. It's kind of like if a woman walks into a room with a really nice Tiffany ring, with some Louboutins on, and an Hermès handbag, and her hair looks good. She doesn't have to be too loud, because it's like boom. It's like old money confidence. You know what I'm saying? And so with the relics, with the, they got the Apocrypha instead of taking it out of the canon, and they got the cool old chapels and the old cathedrals. Like, there's some swagger, there's some richness, and I think it comes across in their sets, because even though he kind of dogged on the missionaries, who is that redheaded guy with the cool beard? that had the good set with the rich mahogany behind him.
Oh,
we did
Brian
once.
Holdsworth.
Brian Holdsworth. There's
Yeah.
Matt Fradd. That studio is pretty cool. You know, oftentimes the evangelical and the Protestant guys, it's like drywall behind them with like one of those Nook books or book nooks with all of their like modern. It's just like a mix between 5600 Kelvin blue lit office cubicle and like a Pottery Barn house. You know, whereas here we've got, you know, we got sick LEDs, a guitar that I actually believe he might actually play.
Ooh, wow.
And
He's got the
that's-
hair for it.
Yeah, and
I
that's a
could believe
cool leather chair. You know, I'm just saying it's a different vibe that I dig with. You know, I vibe with and I dig. I mix those two. So anyway, okay. So the story is, Luke, you stumbled upon these and you brought some clips where you think he went wrong. Right?
Yeah,
Is that
so
it?
he a couple 3-4-ish months ago, he put out this, I have absolute proof Islam is false. And then it turned out to be half about Joseph Smith. We're going to go through that one. And then after that, he kind of just was off to the races and he made a 45-minute long video of 15 similarities between Joseph Smith and Muhammad. And it kind of seemed to be like, if you're similar to each other, you're both bad. Which the logic there is not
Doesn't follow.
kind of like that Hitler had a dog, he has a dog.
Dog people are bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So he did that after this video. So we'll do the first video first.
Okay.
And then we'll go on to just a couple of the similarities. He
Now-
has 15 points. Really it's only like 3 or 4, and he kind of spreads them out into 15. But we'll just touch on that a little bit. I think this could be another video later. But let's get into that first video.
Hold on. Before we get into these things, okay, we need to make sure that everybody likes the stream and sticks around for the memes, people. We're doing some Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Mormon memes. So very benign stuff, safe for all audiences. Totally politically correct memes coming up. So make sure you like the stream, share the stream with all your oversensitive cousins, and because we're gonna hit the memes later on.
Okay, and also I had this cool little thing that I've never done before on the Tube of You, where there's a super chat goal. So I just set a super chat goal of 20 super chats, and we'll get 15 minutes of overtime. Usually we do a 16 minutes. I mean, we shoot for a 60-minute stream, but I am all down with overtime. If you guys are loving it, just make sure you send us your super chats. If you would like to join the channel, that's a great way to receive early access to videos. Besides the members only content that we're going to start curating a lot more on the website. If you would like to join the channel, please click the join below. Also, if you have a comment that is germane to the conversation or a question you would like me or Luke or Jonah to answer, please send it to us via super chat. Be generous, and we'll definitely address it. So anyway, without any further ado, should I just pull up the clips, my man? Should I just start pulling up the clips?
We can
and
start with
react to them?
clip number 1.
Okay, so here is clip number 1. You're cool-headed Luke. Jonah is Dr. Apocryphus. What are we going to call Cameron Bertuzzi? He looks like a really, really talented barista that has a cafe racer motorcycle that lives like not quite East Village hippie in New York, but like he actually looks like he went somewhere with an indie band. Like, you know, not actual rock star, but like solid career, maybe ended up doing like music for commercials and, you know, like a cafe racer, like cafe racer cool.
I don't want to throw any shade on him, but he looks like he was the guitarist in that band, whatever that band was.
Oh, jeez, man.
Sorry, not to be
Musicians
insulting.
make
He
the
looks like-
funniest insults.
He's got that look. Right?
Okay,
He's
while
got- he's the-
while I'm pulling this clip up, I will say just one musician joke that I always laughed at and usually gets chuckles whenever I have to play keys for a band is they always say, what do you call a guy that hangs out with 3 musicians? ... The drummer. So anyway, here we go. Cameron Bertuzzi, after that really bad dad joke. Clip number 1, Go.
So if there is a God and he does send us messengers to help guide us, then he's going to give us ways to tell like which ones are the real ones, which ones are the fake ones. But Muhammad makes a claim in the Quran that no true prophet ever would. And once you see how this plays out, it's actually just over. Like it's done. Like he's out. He's done.
Okay.
Okay. Well, hold on. Now, just right off the bat, this brother doesn't believe that God sends messengers. Right?
Yes.
I mean, they don't believe
well,
in continuing prophets and revelation, right?
Not after Jesus Christ. Yes. No prophets after Jesus.
Because he said, like, oh, well, if we think that God sends messengers, like Amos says in chapter 3, verse 7, that surely he will do nothing but reveal his secrets to his servants, the prophets. If we believe that, then there must be ways to test it. Well, but you don't believe that.
Well, the Pope is indeed the vicar
Right?
of Christ to these Catholic brothers, right? So in a way, in the original fulfillment of the Hebraic term, angel, a messenger, when things are said, if I understand the term correctly, ex cathedra, from the chair, right? That is indeed the heart and mind of God to these cats, if I am correct, right, Luke?
Yeah, but the deposit of faith finished. He's sort of a caretaker-ish. It's like so similar to us and so different at the same time. So
why was this the first clip? Why was this the first clip? Why I don't see a smoking gun here.
So basically him kind of saying that I'm going to give you the standard that we're going to be able to judge these prophets with.
Okay.
And then also just how confident of like, you do this, guys, and just like absolutely 100% you'll know for sure. Yeah. So I just want to show him saying that. So I'm not putting the words in his mouth, just so we can see once he gives us his test that we can kind of evaluate if it's actually like this 100%. We got him. Absolutely 100%. You know that they're a false prophet.
Like this. So it's like this. Mormons and Muslims hate this one trick.
Yeah.
You know?
It kind of is.
Use this one trick. 100%.
As my son says, you're cooked. I love it. Okay, so Jesse, thank you very much.
So let's continue on with what he says.
Okay, we're going to continue, but first, shout out to Jesse. Thank you very much for the super chat. And says, Luke, I am your father. Is that your literal father?
I finally
Luke?
found him.
There
we go. Wow. Right here, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
for
it's funny.
your entertainment.
My family search somehow like lost my information. I don't know what's going on, but my church account's no longer connected to my family search now. And so every now and then I just get an email saying, Luke, we have a record hint about your father.
Oh,
every 2 months or so.
That's funny. That's pretty hilarious.
I just delete them. I was like, I don't want to find my dad.
That's funny.
This is a little bit of a digression, but this is actually very true. 2 days ago, I have an employee who works for me who didn't know who his birth father was. And he was in my office and we were talking about it. I said, have you ever been on Family Search? And I cruised around Family Search in about 10 minutes and located his birth father. And he went off to do some work and he came back at the end of the day. And I was like, how am I gonna tell him this? And he comes back in and I had a photograph of him. And I said, hey, I wasn't sure how he was going to react. He's a really great guy, really great employee, young kid.
Whoa.
And I was like, I just want you to know that I found your father and he died 2 years ago. Your birth father, and here he is. And here's a picture. I mean, spitting image of this kid.
Whoa.
And I showed it to him and I was like, geez, I felt this weight of like, man, am I gonna be the one to tell this kid that, he's 30 years old, he doesn't know who his birth father is? So
that's crazy.
It was kind of crazy experience. Yeah.
When I was a private investigator in New York City, I worked with another PI who used to do internal affairs for NYPD before a back injury forced him into private investigation. And no joke, with tears in his eyes, he told me when I asked him, what's the most important thing you've ever done in your PI career? He chased down a 65-year-old lost adoptive child, found that child's mother and father living in the same apartment building like 50 years later that had survived every calamity that Manhattan had to offer. And they were in the exact same apartment. We'll save that for the for the end of the show. It was pretty incredible. So anyway, yeah, it is nuts, man. Like God works miracles through Family Search and through Ancestry. And frankly, before we dog on the cat, God bless the Catholics because they are a record-keeping people. and half of these records that we get coming out of Ireland and Argentina and Scotland are Catholic baptismal records and marriage records, right? So
Come on, we love the Catholic. These are just jokes. We love the Catholics.
Look, I have a feeling we're going to dog on this guy so hard later and have such a hardcore smoking gun. We have to build him up now. Okay.
No, I like it. What's
kidding.
wrong with
I'm just
Catholics?
kidding.
They're great.
Just kidding.
They're great. Catholics are bringing a lot of young men back to faith in Jesus Christ right now. They're big on the internet right now. They're having kind of a renaissance.
Look,
in the
I've got
Catholic
cool-handed
Luke.
Luke. I got cool-headed Luke on this live stream. The guy's a savage. You know what I'm saying? The guy's a savage.
He won't let up. He won't let up on the Catholics.
So I have to, I have to like ease us all
Carden,
into
we're gonna reel Luke
But
in.
before
Okay,
we
you know
test-
how he
I'm
gets.
glad that we have a chill Carden tonight.
it. Okay, yeah, for real. I
We'll
didn't
see how that lasts.
I didn't
All
grow
right.
up getting antagonized by these people, so I don't feel bullied by them. I don't carry the trauma with the Catholics, right? Okay, so here we go. Here is clip number 2. One Cameron Bertuzzi, go.
But before we test out Muhammad, let's actually put this test in action with another guy that I think most of us will be familiar with, and most of us actually consider to be a false prophet, namely Joseph Smith.
Oh, I thought I was gonna say like Simon Magus or something, But okay, so namely
So
Joseph
the video's
Smith.
like, I prove Muhammad false. And then before he even gets to that, it's like, all right, let's do Joseph Smith first for half the video. So
Okay, so
now
here's
here
the
we go
rest of
with
the
Joseph
video. Here's the rest of the video. Let's see.
clip
Considered
3.
to be a false prophet, namely Joseph Smith. The year is 1830, and a young man named Joseph Smith is claiming something very big. He claimed that his arrival was foretold thousands of years ago by none other than Joseph, the son of Jacob, in the Old Testament.
Okay, wait, hold on a second. You can't say he's claiming something very big and not have the first vision appearing, God the Father, Jesus Christ appearing to him in a vision. It wasn't some claim about Joseph 4,000 years ago. Okay, Luke, you do your thing.
Now, actually, because Joseph Smith was kind of like, okay, spiritual experiences, when do I share, when do I not share? He didn't give very many details about Book of Mormon translation, and he actually didn't talk about the first vision too much. People have done research on this, and the first vision is more of a recent thing that we put front and center in the first missionary discussions. Back then, it was like all the Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormon.
It was like, new prophet, here's the evidence in the Book of Mormon. But notice that Cameron is giving a different version of the story. He said the year is 1830. Joseph Smith is here. He's making a big claim of revelation. What is this? He said that thousands of years ago, Joseph Smith said that he was prophesied by Joseph in Egypt.
No, that didn't come out until later. No.
Yeah, actually, he did not. That, like, what? He wrote an editorial for the local Palmyra Reporter or something? No.
Let's finish the clip.
Let's finish the clip.
And then I'll respond in full. There's only like
He
10
didn't
seconds
leave.
left-ish.
He didn't leave a massively charismatic movement because he was fulfilling a campaign promise from Joseph of Egypt 4,000 years ago. All right, he was able to lead this big, massive movement because he proved himself to be a prophet, had the evidence of the Book of Mormon thereof, and nobody ever wants to address the Book of Mormon because they know that is the test of his prophethood, not whether or not he fulfilled the criteria of a 4,000-year-old revelation from Joseph, which I know that there's references and old primary sources of opinions on that and everything like that I'm sure we're going to address and see and all that other stuff. But that was not the campaign promise. That's like saying the Apostle Paul was doing big things in the 1st century AD. He came to tell us he discovered a new way from Rome to Damascus. And it's like, no, that was not the big claim of the Apostle Paul. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't blazing trails on the road to Damascus. He saw God. You know what I'm saying? Like, he saw God, and God told him, we're going to be doing things a new way for a really long time. And that's how it was. And it revolutionized Christianity. All right. So that's the big claim, not, hey, I got good DNA. All right. That was not it. So here's the rest of the clip. Go.
Now imagine that you're hearing this claim back in the 1830s. You'd be fairly to put it lightly, you'd be probably a little bit intrigued, right? Like there's a modern day prophet predicted by an ancient biblical figure. Naturally, you'd want to open your Bible and see if this was actually true. So Smith pointed to Genesis 50:33 as the prophecy supposedly foretelling his coming.
Okay, so the thing is, Cameron is making a bad argument here.
He really didn't, though.
He's making a bad argument here because Joseph Smith didn't. I tried to find it. You guys, I spent all this time searching through the Joseph Smith papers. I went on ChatGPT and had it look up stuff for me. The earliest I can find for Joseph Smith translation of Genesis 50 is March 1st, 1843 in the Times and Seasons. So just a little over a year before Joseph Smith died. Not canonized. I couldn't find any quotes of people using it in proselyting efforts. I couldn't find Joseph Smith anywhere using it.
Yeah, because it's not true. Guys, before the church was founded, they were chasing him down because he claimed to have had a golden Bible, as they called it. They were trying to beat him up for his stuff. They weren't trying to gangbang him because he was from the wrong side of the tracks and had the wrong DNA. You know what I'm saying? This wasn't some kind of like turf war between the Bloods and the Crips or the white supremacists and the Latinos in prison, all right? It wasn't because he came from the wrong genetic part of the tree. It was because he claimed to have seen God. He was claiming to revolutionize Christianity. He was claiming to be a prophet, and he had proof, and they wanted that proof. They were chasing him down for his stuff and his claims, not because, like, he was the fulfillment of a prophecy nobody remembered.
And Luke, you're totally right. When I look in scriptures.byu.edu, which is excellent, there is no reference Joseph Smith ever made to that verse. In 2 Nephi chapter 3, verse 5, 6, and 7, Joseph Smith never gave a sermon on that verse.
So, and that's the other part, is Cameron can't even articulate his argument. He doesn't know the history well enough to even articulate his wrong argument correctly. What Cameron should have said is in 1830, Joseph Smith published the Book of Mormon that claimed that Joseph had had a prophecy in Egypt. And then later, when he was translating the Bible, he put that same prophecy into it. And that showed up later. But like, if Cameron wanted to say, oh yeah, they were passing this all around, they were telling each other about it, this was like one of the big foundations of their proselytizing efforts.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Even if that did happen, which it didn't, it would have been from the Book of Mormon, not from the Joseph Smith translation.
Right.
So he can't even get that detail right.
And in the Voice of Warning, which is written by Parley P. Pratt, which is a companion to the Book of Mormon during all proselytizing efforts in the mid-19th century for a long time, it never talks about that prophecy. It doesn't say so. Part of the apocryphal story, which this is hearsay. I heard this. I got to find the source for this. Is that Joseph Smith didn't even recognize the prophecy until Parley P. Pratt pointed it out to him and said, you're the guy who's supposed to reveal this stuff. You're the guy and Joseph Smith was like, oh gosh, you're right. Joseph Smith really did not give a lot of sermons based off the Book of Mormon. Most of his sermons are based off the Bible.
Yes,
way more, like a 9-to-1 ratio. He was talking all about the Bible.
Yeah, Mormonites were perceived as almost a Zionist movement collecting the 12 tribes of Israel. If there was any campaign promise that Joseph Smith was seeming to fulfill, it wasn't, hey, I'm the guy. You know what I'm saying? It was, hey, we're actually fulfilling Latter-day prophecy and gathering the 12 tribes of Israel. Everything that has been prophesied is now falling into place. Join the revolution. He was saying like, share, and subscribe to the Latter-day revolution. He wasn't saying, yo, dude, my dad is X rocker and I'm going to drop, like the next best album. Like, I'm Mick Jagger's son. Get my follow-up CD. That's not.
You have to have a really low opinion of your neighbor's IQ to think that Joseph Smith showed up and said, hey, there's this prophecy about me. And everyone's like, no, there's not. And he's like, here it is. And everyone's like, oh, shoot, there totally is. Like, that is do you think people are really that stupid?
Yeah.
Does he really think that? Like,
okay,
that's essentially the claim that he's making.
So far, I would say he's mistaken, and we are kindly correcting him. No smoking guns here, not yet.
Calm down, Luke. Calm down.
Yeah, Luke, jeez,
Okay.
what are you doing to this poor guy?
Give the guy a chance, okay, Luke? Jeez.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can't. Okay, I don't know how to deal with this kind of carding. So let's just go on to the next the next clip.
We're throwing him off. It's working.
I drove by the Presbyterian church like a couple of years ago, and they had this hilarious marquee that said, "Forgive thine enemies. ... It messes with their heads."
This is
That's pretty funny. So here we go.
No prophecy about Joseph Smith.
Here's number 3. Clip number 3 from Once Upon a Time, Clip Master Luke, but now he's cool-headed Luke. So clip number 3, Cameron Bertuzzi, go.
No prophecy about Joseph Smith. And here's where things start to really unravel for our friend Joseph. You'd expect something as important as a prophecy about a new modern day prophet to be preserved somewhere, right? Like it's got to be somewhere, but it's not. It's nowhere to be found. This prophecy exists only in Joseph Smith's personal translation, the Joseph Smith translation, or JST, which he himself produced in the 1830s. There is no ancient manuscript or historical support for this.
Oh, okay. Go for it. And then I'll have my opinion. You guys say yours, then I'll have mine.
So the funny thing is once again, Cameron can't even get the basic facts right. It does exist outside of Joseph Smith, Genesis 50. It's in 2 Nephi 3, and I don't think Cameron is even aware about this. My guess is that he watched the Mike Winger video about it.
Oh, wow.
My guess is that he just watched the Mike Winger video about it and then kind of extrapolated the history in his brain without really doing too much research. I don't want to be slandering him or anything, but I don't know how you couldn't get these facts wrong if you did any research beyond watching that one Mike Winger video from 3 years ago. And so I think he just watched the Mike Winger video and then kind of spiced it up even more and kind of made up this story of, in 1830, Joseph Smith started marching around just telling people, hey, I'm prophesied. And they're like, huh, really? He's like, yeah, go to Genesis 50. It's in there, man. And starts gathering people to him. Didn't happen.
Can I tell you what this reminds me of? This, have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that montage that somebody made of all the different media outlets saying the walls are closing in on Donald Trump? And it's the montage of the walls are closing in. I think I found it. I hope they don't have swear words in here.
Why do you think these attacks are becoming so much more frequent now?
It's not surprising that Donald Trump is increasing his attacks. The walls are closing in on him.
The walls are Don't just stand there, try and brace it with something.
It feels like the walls are closing in on the White House. It feels as if the walls are closing in here.
Yeah, it's like a montage in 1 week. 40 people said it's over for him. The walls are closing in. He's donezo, right? And it's kind of you don't want to hold him up as a religious figure, obviously, but it's just it does amaze me with how much confidence people say it's over for Joseph Smith, not understanding the actual true nature of the history beyond the surface level scoffery that atheists throw at the church, beyond the surface level scoffery that evangelicals and Christian apologists throw on the church. And they don't realize this is why it's so easy to convert people from these other faiths with their scoffery, because the second you go not just one level deep and say, oh, did you know he was a con man that was telling people he could get his own planet? When you're actually able to talk to these people and say, no, that's a misrepresentation, that's a lie. Here's the real quote. Here's the real scripture. Here's why it actually makes sense. Then the people say, wow, I was actually lied to by the people that were telling me that you were lying to me. And it opens up, their trust level becomes explosive, and they realize that they've been lied to, and then all of a sudden they start thinking, well, what else have I been lied to? And you're just read the book and have a personal, it's not even about me, it's not even about my knowledge or whatever. Develop a personal relationship with God and let him tell you if this is the place you're supposed to be. And that's when they really develop a relationship with God, not just with gnosis, So, yeah.
And by the way, that is actually the test that Jesus Christ himself gave when he was in the flesh to Simon Bar-Jonah is he said, "Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven." The real test that Jesus Christ gave was, did you receive it from the Holy Ghost? That's actually, he wasn't saying, now, you put on your spectacles here. If you look here in Sanhedrin 96b and Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 20, this is the test you can use to tell. No, that is what the scribes and Pharisees were doing. And Joseph Smith and Jesus slapped them all around and said, no, guys, it's the Spirit. It's the Spirit.
He did not slap anybody.
Oh, yes, he did. You think clearing out that temple, there wasn't any slapping going on?
That was whipping. 'Twas whipping. So, okay, so clip number 4 now, Luke, or you got something to say, bro?
Yeah, clip number 4. So this is going to be his actual test, his 4-point questionnaire that you can ask of a prophet to definitively, remember, Cameron said, to definitively 100% prove if they're a prophet or not. So he's going to go through the 4 steps and respond the way that Joseph Smith would respond to these 4 questions.
Okay, cool. So here's clip number 4.
But to make this problem abundantly clear, let's run Joseph Smith through our little test. There's 4 questions in this test, and they're each designed to test whether or not he's a true prophet.
Wait, but also, wasn't this about Muhammad? So he's still going on about
Joseph.
Yes. Okay, so in the video about Muhammad, he's still going on about Joseph Smith. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a 15-minute long video, and a solid 6 minutes or so is on Joseph Smith.
It's like when you go on a date with a new girl, that as soon as she sits down, she just trauma dumps about how bad her old boyfriend was. And you're like, you're 30 or 40 minutes into the dinner date, and you're just like, wow, we have established zero rapport. Like, what am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? There's probably some poor Muslim apologist who's getting his like PhD from, I don't know, the University of Morocco or something, right? And he's trying to find something that he can use for his dissertation. And he's like, I clicked on the video about Muhammad, and this poor fool won't shut up.
What am I doing here? Yeah.
Who is this Joseph Smith? They just built a statue to him in India. They love that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on here, bro. So, all right, let's see what a good-looking, handsome cafe racing devil, barista from the East Village, Cameron Bertuzzi has to say about Joseph Smith.
But to make this problem abundantly clear, let's run Joseph Smith through our little test. There's 4 questions.
Wait, by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt this one more time, but I guarantee you he doesn't run half the popes through this test. Because I don't care what you say. Whatever this 4-point test is, let's put the Borgias and that chestnut party about that. Like, I'm sorry, man. All right, Luke, what?
I'm actually going to push back and say that all of the popes can pass this test because he just designed it ad hoc to then retroactively go back to Joseph Smith and Muhammad and say, see, they don't pass the test that I made up after looking at what criteria I could find them not meeting. So, ta-da!
Okay.
Does the test include drinking the blood of 3 young men to try to prolong your life?
No.
Oh, okay, all right. I just didn't know if Pope Innocent VIII
Hey,
could pass
people,
that
no,
test.
they actually thought that was a legitimate medical thing, similar to bloodletting. We're going to give them grace on that. That's presentism, okay? That's
No
presentism. But I will say...
Just drinking the blood of 3 kidnapped young boys that were dragged into the Vatican.
Was that it? They were kidnapped? Wait, no, I didn't hear they were kidnapped.
Not.
I didn't hear they were kidnapped. So, okay, cool. Look, let's keep going. Let's keep going from the beginning.
There's the spicy Jonah.
I'm just kidding.
But to make this problem abundantly clear, let's run Joseph Smith through our little test. There's 4 questions in this test, and they're each designed to test whether or not he's a true prophet. Question 1. Did a previous prophet predict your coming? Smith's answer, yes. He claimed that Joseph, the son of Jacob, predicted his arrival and that the prophecy could be found in Genesis 50:33. Question 2. Can we check this prophecy? Is there a record, some sort of record that we can verify? Smith's answer, unsurprisingly, no. Prophecies like Isaiah's prediction of the Messiah's virgin birth in Isaiah 7:14 or the suffering servant in Isaiah 53 were preserved across centuries, appearing in multiple...
Do you want me to pause?
No, he's wrong about wrong about everything. My brain hurts. No. So the test is that a previous prophet had to predict you. Which prophet predicted Isaiah?
No.
Which prophet predicted Moses?
I didn't put everything in the video, but his problem is that you're not allowed to say that a previous prophet predicted you if the historical record doesn't verifiably have that prophecy in it.
All right, we got to get our terms figured out here. Are we saying Old Testament or are we saying historical record? Because there's a ton of crap outside the canon that I could be talking about right now. We could go into Sanhedrin 97b. We could go into the Tolkavaya Pelea or the Ladder of Jacob. There's plenty of places where you find the Mashiach ben Yosef or prophecies, lost prophecies of Jacob and Joseph. We could go into all of those if we're going to say things like historical record. All right. If we're saying Bible, then he has a point, but he's got to stop saying no evidence in any ancient document. Brother, you don't know what you're talking about. There's lots of evidence in ancient documents.
His argument even falls apart, even if there's no historical record of this thing, because what he's essentially saying is, number one, no prophecy could ever get lost from 4,000 years ago. And it's like, based on what? Like,
there's verses in the Bible.
It references books that we don't have now. The Bible itself says there's stuff out there that's not in the scripture.
He's a Catholic. You're not sola scriptura, brother. You're not sola scriptura. Don't do this. Don't take their bait.
So that's number one. So it's just this completely arbitrary assumption of if it was a prophecy, it would have shown up in the Bible, of course, based on other prophecies made it in the Bible, so that means this one would have made it. No, the fact that one prophecy got passed down doesn't mean they. Well, I have my grandmother's journal on my mom's side, but I don't have my great grandmother's journal on my dad's side.
So she didn't exist.
If she did have one, I would know about it. So therefore, it must not exist.
So therefore,
no. No. So
I'm
okay, so that's
to doubt
number
if
one.
You even had a grandmother.
That's assumption number one. So no prophecies have to be in the Bible. Nothing could ever get lost. No.
Right.
Sorry, the Bible says no to that. Number two is that for some reason, so let's just put that first assumption aside. Okay, they could get lost. Number two is for some reason, nobody else later is allowed to bring them up if they did get lost, if it's about themselves. Like for some reason, God, he's putting this parameter.
You're not closed canon. You're a Catholic.
God is not allowed to tell somebody that there was an old prophecy about them. Like, why would God not be able to do that?
So here's what I figured out. I figured out that Protestants have some problems with their religion. Catholics have some problems with their religion. Like Christian YouTubers take all the bad of everything and just combine it all together. You're not sola scriptura. You're not a closed canon guy. What are you doing? Acting like a Protestant. Like, what are you like? He makes Protestant arguments when it suits him. You hear that Protestants do this. They make Catholic arguments when it suits them against us. Yeah.
So prepping for this video, I was kicking myself. Because when this came out, my YouTube recommended another ex-Mormon philosophy dude who has a small little channel that did a response to this video. And he was listening through these 4 points, and he was like, I don't believe Joseph's a prophet. I don't believe Jesus is the savior either, but I don't believe Joseph's the prophet. And I have no idea what he's trying to do here. Like this dude was just like, what is he trying to say? Like the prophecy had to have been fulfilled, but then Joseph's not allowed to say there's a prophecy. And so saying that there's a prophecy that's not in the historical record means that it's 100% that you're not what? Jesus was providing interpretations of scripture that the other Jews didn't agree with. So by Cameron, you could tweak Cameron's test a little bit as an atheist and be like, or as a Jew, like a Jew could say, okay, so God, like Jesus would have had to have been prophesied because he's the most important person. So he has to be prophesied. Okay. Number two, the people of God are the ones that would know that and know those prophecies and be able to see if they were fulfilled. Number three, a lot of people at Jesus's time didn't think he fulfilled the prophecies. Therefore, number four, Jesus 100%, we've absolutely proved that there's no way that he could be the Jewish Messiah. It's like, okay. I mean, if you just make up these arbitrary tests, then
I got it even better. Hey, let's put Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, of the same test. Jesus Christ did precisely the same thing. Actually, he's wrong. Joseph Smith never claimed this. Jesus did. Jesus is the one that's failing his test because Jesus Christ in John 8, I think Jesus Christ is the one who came out and said, Abraham saw my day and rejoiced in it. He's referencing a prophecy thousands of years old that we don't have. So, brother, you are trying to disprove that Jesus Christ was a true messenger of God, a true prophet, the savior of the world, because he actually did this. Joseph Smith never stood up and said, now the way you can know I'm a prophet is because Joseph prophesied to me back in Genesis. No, he never did. But Jesus did. He said Abraham back in Genesis prophesied of me. He was almost stoned for it. So actually, brother, your test is fighting against Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God. You better check yourself, man.
John 8:56, your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad.
Thank you. And where's that in Genesis?
Where's the prophecy of Abraham rejoicing about Christ coming?
Nowhere. So this test that he's created, this video, you could exchange the word Joseph for Jesus, and it would actually be like, oh, wow, he really is trying to disprove Jesus. Joseph, it doesn't hold water because it doesn't know his facts.
Interesting. Wow. So we're going to keep going.
Brutal.
I'm just going to say that I really like what Trent Horn said, I believe, when he was addressing a Protestant critique of the Book of Mormon or Joseph Smith or something. He said, believers should not argue like atheists, right? I am going to amend his statement. And I would say believers should not argue like atheists, and Catholics should not argue like Protestants.
Yes, thank you.
Know what I'm saying? That's I believe that's what you're saying, right? So
and Protestants shouldn't argue like Catholics when they say there was no apostasy. You ever heard this? Protestants are like, there was no apostasy.
Yeah, which is like, well, then why'd you break away from the Catholic Church? Yeah.
Then what are you then? Yeah.
What were the 95 theses or 94 theses? How many were there again, Luke?
Well, there actually wasn't. It's kind of, that's a whole nother topic.
Okay, cool.
But yes, traditionally it's been called the 95 Theses.
So it's now Conspiracy Theory Hour with Luke Hansen, Ancient Aliens, and the Lost 95 Theses. No, I'm just kidding. So, okay, we're going to keep going with this clip. Keep going, Cameron Bertuzzi.
Appearing in multiple sources, whether Jewish, Christian, or secular. But Joseph Smith's prophecy, it doesn't appear anywhere outside of his own translation. Question 3. Is there another way that we can confirm this prophecy? Smith's answer, yes. He claimed that God had re-revealed this lost prophecy to him personally. And this isn't necessarily unusual for Smith. He often claims special revelations. For example, in the Book of Mormon, Smith claimed to have received golden plates from an angel, which were then conveniently taken back to heaven, leaving no evidence behind. Question 4.
Okay,
who told
we got to stop there very briefly.
Yeah.
This is embarrassing.
Cameron argues that there is evidence of the resurrection. He said there's great evidence for the resurrection. What is it? Eyewitnesses. Okay. No evidence of the Book of Mormon. So no eyewitness. Oh, no, wait. There is eyewitnesses. Well, we just don't have the physical plates. We don't have the physical Jesus.
But listen to this either. Listen to the snark with which he is totally going after people's sincerely held religious beliefs. And like the snark with which he says, oh, well, where's your golden Bible? Where's your golden ark? Where's your cross?
Yeah.
Where's your, I don't think all the Catholic relics are fake. One of the things that I think is most beautiful about Catholic richness is their commitment to these relics. I don't think all of the heads of John the Baptist can't be the same head at the same time. There's like 3 different cathedrals that are claiming to have the robe of Timothy or the sandals of Bartholomew or like the pinky finger of, I don't know, whoever. And I think one of them is real. All right. I think one of them is real, but not all of them can be real at the same time. Right. So when you can't show me the chariots at the bottom of the Red Sea that Moses destroyed when he closed the Red Sea behind him during the Exodus, how dare you mock somebody that says, no, these were sacred. They were taken back by God. Guess what? They're not the only things that were sacred that were taken back by God. You know what I'm saying? There's actually a rich history of things being thought to be too sacred that they would be pearls cast before swine, right? There were entire parables of this kind of thing. So again, this is an atheistic argument. Where's the proof, bro? Oh, you don't have the videotape of the first vision? Pics or it didn't happen.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Do you have the whale that swallowed Jonah? We still haven't found half the cities mentioned in the Bible. Forget the worldwide flood. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
It's true.
It's what I don't get is how quickly they end up sounding just like Sadducees. Like, don't they?
It's weird.
It's so weird.
It's
like,
weird, right? They put on this they put on a different face, and they're like, now I'm going to be a Protestant because that helps me bash the Mormons. And then they're like, what else do I have here? Oh, atheist. Now that helps me bash the Mormons too. And what else do I have here?
Well, just like on a dime, Jonah. Like Protestants, which he's making a lot of Protestant arguments here, ironically, and this isn't the best example, but it's the first one that came to mind. So quickly they'll say, "Oh, well, Mormons are great people. Oh, they're awesome. They're good. They're kind. They're nice. But their religion's false and they're led by the devil." And I'm like, okay, well, don't you see this charity we're doing? That's a great work. Don't you see these healings that are done? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, they're done by the power of the devil. Like, no, those are good things, but they're done by the power of the devil. And I almost want to tell these people, like, can you say that in 1611 Shakespearean English and just say, "Thou doest these things by the power of Beelzebub"? Because there's literally a scripture of Sadducees approaching Jesus and saying, "We recognize your good works, but we say they're done by the power of a demon and the devil." And then he turns back around, says, "A bitter font can't bring forth sweet water. A house divided cannot stand. And if I cast out these by the power of Beelzebub, by whom did your fathers and your prophets cast them out?" And it's like, it's an alley-oop. Like, for a guy that started his entire video saying, "Oh, he can't pass the test. It's over for Joseph Smith," as though it's some slam dunk. I'm like, bro, have you not read this Bible you're supposedly defending? Like,
bro flunked Jesus Christ. He's flunking Jesus Christ.
Well, he's
with his like made up test.
Well,
like, careful, man. Jeez.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we're going to go back. I'm going to start this one over again. I'll opine my little thing and then you can keep going. Here we go.
Multiple sources, whether Jewish, Christian, or secular, but Joseph Smith's prophecy, it doesn't appear anywhere.
Oh my gosh, there's an entire sect of historiography about whether or not historical Jesus was real. And one of the biggest arguments that all the atheists have is that there's not enough original sources. There's basically, what original sources and eyewitnesses to Jesus are there that weren't religiously motivated?
I'm going to push back on that, actually.
No,
here comes Luke. Man, Luke is so angry tonight.
I'm not saying the atheists are right, but I'm just...
No, the evidence for Jesus Christ is way bigger than the evidence that Joseph in Egypt prophesied about another Joseph coming.
Yes, I'm not arguing that, but I'm
way bigger.
No, I'm just saying. No, all I'm saying is that
one parchment versus zero parchments. I mean, okay.
Yeah, all I'm saying is the following. You're acting like. What I'm saying is that you can't start loading your arguments full of all this snark, and full of all of this, like, "Oh yeah, you're an idiot for believing your way about Joseph Smith because, like, Jesus is settled science," when there's an entire section of science that you can steel man saying that that Jesus Christ didn't exist. He was a first century Jewish Christian, not forgery, but invention in order to justify their zealotry, and that the concept of his resurrection didn't come out until like the 2nd or 3rd century AD, and so on and so forth. There's a whole entire field of historiography that rejects the idea that Jesus was real because, frankly, they don't think there is enough evidence. So if there's an entire group of scientists that don't think there's a real Jesus for lack of manuscripts, I just wouldn't be so snarky when coming after Mormons, because even though it is a new faith, there's 29 people that interacted with the golden plates, and
a lot of people. Yeah.
And every single one of them comes out saying the exact same thing. appearance of gold, and I shouldn't even adopt the language of my oppressors, and I shouldn't call them the golden plates because I know that's not what they were called. That was something that they ended up getting called later. But they were plates that had the appearance of gold between 40 and 60 pounds, that they could be hefted by a farm boy that was in really good shape, but not by maybe the average bear, and that they rustled when you thumbed through them. And these are documents that we've been able to preserve and look at firsthand that all coincide better than many of the synoptic gospels within 100 years, better than a lot of the manuscripts that we had to fight entire ecumenical councils over in the first several hundred years of Christianity, right? So I guess I want the snark to be toned down, because it leads me to believe that you don't know your own faith and you don't understand the foundation of our shared belief in Jesus Christ, and how really a third-party observer, I could see why they may not believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so don't act like you're on this firm foundation, when in reality, we're lucky that it's here, And also, sorry.
I was going to say, you got to be careful, because young people listen to this. Yeah. And when you say, oh, Catholicism's true because all these manuscripts about Jesus Christ and his resurrection. In the 2nd century AD, there was a Jew named Celsus. He argued with, I think Clement. And he said, your entire religion is based off of a hysterical woman's claims that she saw a ghost, right? He said, essentially, your entire religion is based off of hearsay, because some women who were, and what the word, in Greek, it's patraistos or something. It means like,
patraistos,
it means like she was, it means that she was on her period is what it means. And she was, is literally what it means. Like, she was on her period. She was crazy. And she said, oh, I saw a ghost and all this stuff. And you base your entire religion off of it. That's what Celsus the Jew said in the 2nd century, arguing with Clement. Okay. Now, this just smacks a little bit of that, right? Like, because we know there was far more evidence, more people saw, Jesus appeared in their midst, Acts chapter 1, verses 1 through 9. We know that there were other things, but that's not why we believe Jesus Christ rose from the dead. We believe it because the witness of the Holy Spirit, which is what Jesus told us to use. And so you got to be careful. Young people hear this and they go, oh, well, I should base everything off of archaeology. Oh, okay. And they all end up atheists. Yeah. You're secularizing your own youth, I feel like. And so I want more young people to embrace Catholicism. If I could snap my fingers and have every young person who's an atheist turn into Catholics, I would do it in a heartbeat. What a wonderful world. It would be so much better.
Well, that is also the thing that I love about the doctrine of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the restored gospel, as seen through the lens of AKA Mormonism, right? Is that it really immediately becomes a treatise and an exploration of epistemology. Like, how do we know things? How do we know religious truths? And all of the atheists go immediately towards naturalistic observation. And then the Protestants, and then a lot of even the Catholic YouTubers go with them. When in reality, it's like, no, this is a tripartite thing. This is a 4 or a 5-part thing. There's the Hansen 5 model, famously. There's lots of other good models of epistemology in which, yes, naturalistic observation, authority, repeatable results, the scientific method are all part of it, but so is revelation, so is personal revelation, so is all this other stuff that the Greeks and the Romans used to make fun of Christians for believing in, that still exists in the latter days, and is generally, I perceived, more robustly accepted in Catholicism than it is in Protestantism, which kind of eschews that, right? So I don't know. It's just like it's again, it just goes back to that believers arguing like atheists thing.
Yes.
Yes. So
everyone loses.
Yes, everyone loses. Yeah. So we're going to go back, play it again.
Or says whether Jewish, Christian, or secular. But Joseph Smith's prophecy, it doesn't appear anywhere outside of his own translation. Question 3. Is there another way that we can confirm this prophecy? Smith's answer, yes. He claimed that God had re-revealed this lost prophecy to him personally. And this isn't...
But also, guys, most personal revelation is personal. In fact, so sacred was the revelation. What's it called, Jonah, when Jesus Christ took not even all of the 12 apostles? He took just 2. It was Simon Peter and...
The Mount of Transfiguration?
That's what I was looking for. The Mount of Transfiguration. All right. Deeply personal. Moses at the burning bush. This is a one-on-one with God, right? And when he's coming out and he says, I have seen God. I have spoken with him. It was such a sacred space. I was told to remove my shoes. What? Oh, a burning bush? Oh, how interesting, Moses, that God only spoke to you. Where's the bush?
Where's that in the ancient text?
Yeah, I don't see the pics and videos, or it didn't happen. How what a coincidence that God only spoke to Moses in a deeply personal revelation. It's like, again, they just immediately turn into Sadducees, or they just turn into... In that case, the Sadducees weren't even around yet because Judaism hadn't been formed yet because Moses was still getting his revelations.
True.
But they turn into scriptural haters. They turn into the archetype of everything the people they venerate fought against.
Yes. This is the type of logic that I'm sorry. I'm sure this is a good man. I don't want to impugn it. But this is the type of logic that would have stoned Jesus, right? Jesus shows up and says, Abraham prophesied of me. There's no record of that. This dude would have picked up stones.
Yeah.
He would have been right in that crowd. He would have said, we decorate the sepulchres of the prophets of old. We are descended from Abraham.
Yeah, they said, we have no spiritual dead. They clutched their pearls, and they said, we're descendants of Abraham. We have no spiritual dead. Like, they blasphemy, right?
It's the same type of deal. And in that vein, I know that we originally were supposed to be talking about Muslims. That's one thing that I love about our church, is that we don't look at Islam and say it's all just of the devil. It's all horrible and evil. And, we don't say that. We say, bring any light you can bring. Let us add to it. Bring any light you can bring. We don't play this game.
Yeah. I have always been so uncomfortable with what I have generally perceived as largely the evangelical push against Islam. And the reason why is because I'm like, in your journey towards God, like it's like trying to climb to the top of the mountaintop, just like Martin Luther King said, I've been to the mountaintop, right? And you know what? When you're climbing to the top of that mountain and you're trying to get close to God and go to your own Mount of Transfiguration and go and see Elijah and go and see Moses and go and see everybody, right? The first thing you have to do is step out of yourself and realize there is something bigger and bolder and better than just you and your consumerist desires and your caprices and your annoyances and your desires and your indulgences. You have to realize there's something bigger than that. And you know what? If that thing that's bigger you call Muhammad, or you call I don't know, Adonai, or you call Jesus, or I don't care if you call it some pagan god. Like the first step is believing there's something outside of you, and then believing that, okay, that thing that's outside of you actually cares and loves you and sets an example for you. And then now they've even read scriptures that show us a way to live your life. And by the way, living that code of ethics, no matter what it is amongst all these Abrahamic faiths, is actually, I would dare say, even a little bit more important. I think it's more important to believe and act on a 9 out of 10 correct doctrinal code of ethics. I think the Presbyterian that fulfills 9 out of 10 of the 10 commandments better than the Catholic apologist who knows the correct translation of the commandments, but only lives 5 out of 10 of them. I think
absolutely.
I think during the judgment seat, just as Jesus Christ taught us in the parable of the Good Samaritan and the woman of the well and all that other stuff, that person is going to be better off in the eyes of God than the person that knew the correct translation, 10 out of 10, but didn't actually live them.
Right. Any faith is better than no faith. Any faith is better than no faith. So we to some degree love all faiths. We of course believe that we are custodians of the fullness of the restored gospel. That comes with a great burden as well. But we believe any faith is better than no faith, and Islam too. Islam is no exception.
Yes.
We're so glad that the Saudi Arabian Peninsula was converted to Islam in 600 AD. That was a huge step up for the people of Saudi Arabia.
Well, it wasn't pagan before then, wasn't when?
Yes, it was.
Oh no,
Human
I'm sorry.
sacrifice.
No, yes, okay.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Sorry, the Saudi Peninsula. I apologize.
Right.
I was getting my geography incorrect because I was about to say
It was
the Muslim
polytheistic
hordes did a
paganism.
lot of damage to some really great Christian communities and wiped out entire sects of Christianity. Like I don't know if I would endorse that, but that claim all over the Levant.
Agreed.
You know.
No. Agreed. And I mean, I particularly think that Islam was then corrupted very soon. You know, the light that they brought. But look, can we all agree that human sacrifice is bad? Can we all agree on that? Human sacrifice.
I'm
not
a
good thing?
registered
Okay.
Democrat. I don't want to get in trouble with my party. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, cool. So here we go. Clip number 4. We're going to continue. Let him finish.
To him personally. And this isn't necessarily unusual for Smith. He often claims special revelations.
Yeah, it's not unusual for any
'cause he's a
prophet of
prophet.
God. They all claim
All
special
right,
revelations.
I have to jump in now, and
Okay.
I feel good now. I feel like I'm in my
In your
zone
zone now?
I got to tamp you guys
Calm down, Luke.
What
Why are you so
Cameron
angry?
is saying, I'm on Cameron's side actually for most of this
What?
because
That's just because
sure-
you're trying to make friends with Pints with Aquinas still.
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
that's what it is.
Dude, I was in his studio. Okay,
I'm just kidding
I have a
with you.
picture of me and him.
I'm just kidding with you.
I saw
bro.
Jordan Peterson's signature on the wall. Okay. Anyway,
Just kidding with you. Keep going.
where was I going? Okay, what he is saying, what Cameron is saying, and Cameron, if you make a response to this and clip it up, represent us correctly, okay? Or better yet, just have us on your show. Okay, don't just pick and choose. Oh, these 5 minutes from this 2-hour-long live stream looks like I can get them with these ones, and then leave everything else. Just like have us on. I'll be fair. Because
Facts.
here's me being fair. What Cameron is saying is it's very, very sus that Joseph Smith said, "Oh yeah, by the way, there was a prophecy about me," and we don't have
Sorry,
that
did you say-
prophecy in other records.
Did you say Joseph Smith or did you say Jesus Christ? Which one did you say?
That's
I
what
couldn't-
Cameron
I
is saying
couldn't-
is wrong.
Did I hear
And you're
that wrong?
totally right, Jonah. And I agree. That's very sus. If a guy says, "Hey, by the way, there's a prophecy about me. You need to follow me." Okay. And it doesn't show up anywhere else. Then it's
I get
I
that.
don't put any weight in that. That's what Cameron's hitting on so much, but he's twisting the history to saying that Joseph
Right.
Smith used this as his evidence, and he's
Right.
also twisting it to say, no, all the prophecies would have been fulfilled. I mean, would have been preserved. God couldn't, if it had been lost for some reason, God couldn't re-give it to that same person, and so therefore 100% Joseph Smith is wrong. He's
Man,
wrong on
Luke
that
is-
spot.
Luke is so. Why is Luke so angry tonight?
And he's
Man,
what the?
he's just so mad. Luke, why are you so raging, man? What's going on?
We'll just continue the video. I made my point.
Well, no, and I would just I'll piggyback off what you had to say, Luke. The only thing I'm also getting tired of as well is it seems like there's this canon that is developing amongst all anti-Mormon YouTubers in which they misrepresent the Joseph Smith translation. Now, I get maybe we should stop calling it the Joseph Smith translation because people just they don't understand the true nature of the word translation.
Yes,
You know, like
right.
none of them understand it. They don't understand what context he was using of it. Like Wes Huff did this on the Joe Rogan podcast. Mike Winger has done this. He said, "Oh yeah, look at the original Greek. That translation, it's so horrible." That's like saying, "Oh, look at John Wesley's commentary." Like for all, I almost wish they would just call it the Joseph Smith commentary because he was obviously trying to restore the original intent of these scriptures. He wasn't pilfering the Codex Sinaiticus from the library of the Vatican and then dutifully sitting down with a quill and pen and saying, I think they missed a jot here and a tittle there.
Right.
And the
Yes.
true meaning was
Right.
this. No, it is you're basically, this would be the same as a Mormon coming out and saying, you know what, Methodism, it's all corrupt, it's all fake, they're all going to hell. John Wesley was a fallen prophet because he was claiming to have insight about the Bible in the John Wesley translation, and then taking out his commentary and seeing where he got it wrong about some small thing. Like it's like, what? That's like reading a journal of Gandhi and hearing him say a swear word when he was a teenager. You know what I'm saying? And just saying, see, it's all fake, the whole movement. So, all right. Are we done? You can keep going.
Yeah, I'm not stopping us from finishing this clip.
Luke, calm down, Luke. Let's get to the clips, man.
Okay,
let's
really
finish this
fast.
thing.
Fidget the Crazy says, you don't need a super chat in order to keep going. So you're right, Fidget the Crazy. Thank you very much for the super chat. You are super generous. Jason Gass says, Joseph Smith, peace be upon him. Yeah, we should start saying that just like the Muslims do. It'd be like, no, I believe Joseph Smith, peace be upon him. Like, like that would actually be really,
totally do that.
That would be really cool. And I can't find Fidget's super chat, but I do remember reading it. So hopefully I paraphrased it well, Fidget. Thank you very much for your generosity. Kiori says, Jesus Christ was prophesied of for generations and they still murdered him. True. Guess what? They murdered the prophet Joseph Smith as well. Luke, can we shout out the channel Read It Book of Mormon, says Swenson Bailey.
He did, I think, 2, if I'm not mistaken, response videos to Cameron Bertuzzi as well. So it's always good to see.
Really?
The channel is Read It BOM.
Okay.
Book of Mormon.
Interesting. And then Jason Gast, a member now for 8 months, says, I saw an online chat about seeing Jesus in that day, and the Christians had no good idea of how that could be. All right. Thank you very much, guys, for your super chats. Let's try and get some more in here. If you haven't liked the stream yet, please make sure that you like the stream and you share it with your friends. And by the way, also Cameron, you are invited to come to the Ward Radio Wigwam, to come to the studio. We'll fly you in. You can sit right here in this chair over here, very poorly lit. And there's some packaging material from a new chair that I just bought and I'm unpacking still. You know what I'm saying? But you can come sit right there in that chair. We'll break bread. We'll talk. We'll chop it up. And we'll hopefully have a fun and amicable conversation. And maybe even go see the Dead Sea Scrolls at the Ronald Reagan
We don't have all that
Library
Visigoth.
together.
We don't have all that Visigoth gold to make ourselves a nice studio. But
geez, you are brutal, man.
We make do.
You are brutal, dog.
No, just kidding.
Although,
okay,
it's like there is kind of the Swiss kept all of the money of the Jews that were murdered by the Germans, you know, and the Catholic Church did walk away with entire empires of loot. You know what I'm saying? So it is kind of like, you know?
So Brian Bacon super chat, he says, yes, Cardin, but portions of the Joseph Smith translation are revelation, not commentary, no source text with her. No, that's right. That's what Cardin is saying. Cardin's saying that their definition of translation is as if he had like a grammar in Hebrew and then the Bible, and he's like, now what does this actually say? No, the dude just gave Emma a quill pen, and said, sit down. And she sat down to write, and he goes, and
also
reveals
this is something that
everything.
Oh,
he didn't have. He wasn't drawing from a text or whatever. So your example is true. It's even truer because Joseph Smith wasn't even purporting to be a translator. He didn't know any other language. But they always assume, they're always like, well, technically he got this translation wrong. And you're like, he wasn't trying to pull from Greek, guys. He's a prophet. He never purported to be a scholar. Thank heaven above. Instead, he's a prophet, far more than some academic.
Yeah, and also you've learned another language, Jonah. Luke, I know you served in Africa, but yours was English speaking, right?
I can't even learn Gen Z, so no, I haven't learned another language.
Okay, so either way, when you, correct me if I'm wrong, Jonah, but this is a uniquely American anti-Mormon accusation. They definitely perseverate on the terminology of Joseph Smith translation more than in other languages, because trasladar in Spanish, for example, carries a much more broad range of meaning. Like even when you're a missionary and transfers are coming up, you actually say, voy a trasladarme, and you literally say, I'm going to translate myself to this new area. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the word translation carries a much broader meaning in other languages than it does in this one. But they latch on to it here. So I get maybe that's insider baseball that they don't understand. And at a cursory look, they might look twice. Okay, fine. Well, then just say that your opinion is very cursory and unformed. Don't represent yourself as an authority on the subject.
No, my favorite is that these dudes from Denver, Colorado come out with the Book of Mormon musical, relentlessly mocking these American missionaries serving in Africa. Just everyone's laughing their heads off at these idiotic, naive, look at these morons over in Africa. They don't know anything. Ha ha ha. Those people in that audience couldn't find Botswana on a map. They couldn't find Sierra Leone. They couldn't find Ivory Coast. You know who could? Luke Hansen could.
Yeah.
Luke Hansen could live there for 2 years alone and find his way and knows their culture and knows their customs and knows all their people and their food and everything.
Yeah.
And yet they're mocking our guys over there in Africa as if they're the naive ones. I find that just the most ironic thing in the world, that we're the butt of the jokes. It's like, who knows Africa better than LDS missionaries? You know who speaks Finnish? There's only 2 people on the planet who speak Finnish. Finnish babies and LDS missionaries. That's it. No one else learns Finnish. We're the only ones, okay?
It's
true. So don't
true.
come at us about being naive, sheltered, and isolated in America. I think that's the most ironic accusation I've ever heard.
And my last thing, too, is I'm just going to say Cameron Bertuzzi, Mike Winger, all of these anti-Mormon apologists, when they go on Ben Shapiro's show, who's the guy that's all face? He's a very handsome 60-some-odd-year-old, but he looks like a presenter from the 50s. He's one of the top evangelical apologists. Come on. Jacob Hansen always knows his name. He's done tons
William Lane Craig?
William Lane Craig. Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah. He does look like you're totally right.
He's all face,
Cameron
dude.
Bertuzzi, actually, William Lane Craig, Cameron Bertuzzi's channel is kind of like his go-to. Like he's done quite a number of
So
team
here's
ups
the
with
deal.
WLC.
This is where sometimes I don't see how the William Lane Craigs and the Cameron Bertuzzis don't realize how they instantaneously turn into Sadducees. When William Lane Craig went on Ben Shapiro's show, and Ben Shapiro says, I'll be honest, I think Jesus is basically just, a Jewish revolutionary that got killed by the Romans. Like, prove to me that he's actually divine. Because us Jews, we don't hold him as divine. Like, he ain't up there in our pantheon, right? And William Lane Craig instantly goes to 2 things: religious sincerity and the criterion of embarrassment. He literally says everything these people were fessing to believing was very embarrassing. And in archaeology and historical inquiry, the criterion of embarrassment is something that you use to try and figure out whether or not you think somebody's being truthful or not, right? And he immediately points out that whether or not you think he rose from the dead or that's possible or not, every single one of the apostles instantaneously changed their lifestyles, their behaviors, and their outward views in order to live a life in which they were willing to die for the fact that they believed Jesus Christ rose from the dead. And those 2 things are what he is holding up as his historical proof and the rubric that he's using to prove the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Yet, he doesn't realize modern day evangelicals aren't doing that. Modern day Catholics aren't doing that. You risk nothing as a Catholic apologist defending the Catholic Church in our society. You're not going to get fired from your job like you will if you're a Mormon. You're not going to get denied housing. Like, I've literally been told straight-faced by evangelicals, you know what I'm saying? That like, no, we're saving this apartment for real Christians, when they found out that we were Mormon and they asked what church we go to, And look, I'm not trying to say hashtag first world problems, living in LA. I got a great life. All right. I got a great life, but I do not see as much in common with the early Christians that were sometimes risking their lives, definitely risking jobs, for sure risking social status by admitting their Christianity. Gosh.
And they were mocked, by the elites who said, all you have are the ravings of a hysterical woman.
Yes.
All you have is hearsay. Where are the plates?
Yes.
Huh? Where is he then? Why doesn't he come show himself? They were mocked the same way that Joseph and his followers are mocking.
So when believers shouldn't argue like atheists, Catholics shouldn't argue like Protestants, and none of them, whether it's Cameron Bertuzzi or whether it's, I don't feel Trent Horn does this. He did a little bit in his argument with Jacob Hansen, but he was definitely far more behaved and classy. But it's like none of them should argue like Romans and Greco-Roman scoffers. Like none of them should. Because like nowadays, everybody laments this secularism, they say. To me, that's just a return to normalcy. Christians have been spoiled for the past 200 years in America. Like you couldn't run for office if you were an atheist 20 years ago. Like
True.
Literally, you couldn't run for office. So when all these evangelicals and Protestants want to act like they're carrying the banner of Jesus and they're risking something, shut up. No, you're not. You're risking nothing for your beliefs. In fact, if anything, you're bullying sincerely held religious beliefs of people who fulfill the criterion of embarrassment and the religious sincerity test that the early apostles did. And I'm not saying you just have to believe me and that that's a smoking gun that we're right. But I'm saying, man, bro, you can't read. We are at best, I keep saying this and they don't listen. We are at best your Samaritans. At best, you're Samaritans. And at worst, we're right and you're persecuting us. Like, think about that.
Or holding the coats while other people do it.
Yeah, or holding the coats while other people do it by recycling these tropes and these lies that you heard from Protestants who think you're wrong because of your canon and that you're all a bunch of pedophiles and the Pope is a loser, right?
Yeah, they do.
Like so it's like,
they do.
I don't know if I'd want to hold water for those guys, right? Or the atheists that think you're stupid if you believe. You know, meanwhile, you're there and you're like, holy crap, I'm looking at the skull of a saint who, whether you believe that skull cries when miracles happen or whatever, that person died, freaking died under the persecutor's bullet, under the persecutor's sword, under the executioner's halberd, whatever you want to call it. That person died for their beliefs. Just like, guess what? Joseph Smith did. Nobody can name an evangelical pastor that has died for their beliefs. There was a couple that got roughed up and arrested in Idaho for during the COVID lockdowns. And these people straight up like think that they're like, you know, like persecuted in the name of Jesus because they spent
the ones that I really admire are the ones who go international, or the ones who go into the Middle East or into Africa.
Now we're talking.
Those evangelical pastors, like, okay, now we're talking. Those guys, and you know what? But you know what those guys don't do? You know what they don't do? They don't spend 1 out of every 4 sermons bashing Joseph Smith. They don't have time for that garbage.
They team up with us. Charity. They're like, oh yeah, dude, I bumped into your elders all the time. These guys helped me paint this orphanage, and they were like really cool. Yeah. Like, you know, God bless, dude, God bless. And you're like, now, that guy gets smart. Yeah.
If they're smart, they also team up with Muslims. They also team up with Islam. So this is my copy of the Holy Quran I purchased, and you can see right here in the corner. I purchased it September 11th.
Oh,
I went out that day. In that morning when I woke up and found out that the towers had been hit, I went to Barnes & Noble. It's a thing called a bookstore. You can look it up on the internet. They used to have these things, bookstores, really weird. And I bought this guy and I read the Quran because I wanted to know what in the world it said, okay? And there's a lot of crazy stuff that I think was inserted, but we got to stop. We got to stop hating on our Muslim brothers and sisters. Okay, we pick one bad example. Look, the what are they called? The Westboro Baptists. Yeah. Do they represent all Christians? No, they don't. No, they don't. Okay, there are some terrible, terrible actors in the Muslim faith. Absolutely, but it has some beautiful principles that some people manage to glean out quite well. And so I don't like the hatred of Islam. I love that we are going into these countries. The Church of Jesus Christ is all over that world, partnering with mosques and with imams to do charitable work for the people over there, and to add to the light that they bring, to try to add to the light that they bring. And when our Christian brothers and sisters go in and start ranting about the Crusades, guess what? No one listens to y'all. No one listens to you guys. Okay? Everybody loses. So stop eating your own. Stop hurting other faithful people, and let's bring the good that we have, and we can add to it.
Also, let's study some of the archaeological sites in Jerusalem and how well they were treated under the tutelage of the Christians for 800 years. And Saladin ain't looking so bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, they literally used the Temple Mount as a trash dump for 400 years. And then when the Muslims finally sacked it, they said, whoa, hold on. We got to clean this up. This is a sacred site. What are you doing here? And he invites back Jews to inhabit the Holy Land, divides it into quarters where they can cohabitate that exist to this day, right? I mean, it's just like, now
somebody in the comments just said, "Oh, are you kidding? Islam? Have you heard of the Ottomans and the invasions by Islam?" Okay. Here's my response to that. Have you ever heard an ex-Mormon tell a story about a bad bishop? Or my dad was mean to me about the church and that's why I left? What do we say to that? We say, okay, is that what the church teaches? Is that represent all of us? Does that represent the entire church? You're now mad at God and Jesus Christ because of that? It's an awfully broad brush, okay? Islam has lots of beauty that it brings, and it refined a pagan people that were committing human sacrifice, child sacrifice. Okay, so if we're all on board with human child sacrifice is a bad thing, then we can say that there is some light that Islam brought to the world. It has been perverted, absolutely it has. But let's take the good and add to it.
Well, also the other thing is, like, guys, you know, you just said, okay, boil it down to one sentence really fast. What would you say that?
Every religion has bad representatives and bad actors.
Okay, cool.
Don't send them all to Hades because of one person's bad behavior. Take the good you can.
Yeah. So if I were to sum up your idea, you would say, like any good system, there's bad apples, which I fully agree with. But also,
absolutely,
like, chill, bruh. It was the Middle Ages. There was no separation of church and state.
Yeah, right.
When the Catholic Church went to war, when France, Germany, Italy, and Spain went to war, it wasn't France and Germany and Italy and Spain. It was the Catholic Church. The world was divided by belief. It wasn't divided by longitude and latitude. It wasn't divided by these conveniently mapped out political boundaries. It was divided between the Turks and the Romans. It was divided between, like, the reason why 9/11 happened on 9/11 was because a Polish guy named John Sobieski stopped the Muslim hordes from conquering the rest of Western Europe because they viewed it as what? Heretic Christendom. And before we start thinking, oh, we're victims of being called heretics, what do you think we viewed them as? Heretic Muslim hordes. The world was divided by belief, not by political affiliation. It was divided by belief. You could be a Saudi Muslim just as easily as you could have been a Syrian Muslim. Either way, you had a freaking sword in your hand and you were fighting the Crusaders, who could have come from England just as easily as they could have come from France. Why? Because the Pope sent them. You know, it's a different world. So, and you're historically ignorant if you don't recognize that. So when you use it in your arguments against the modern Mormon church, it makes me think it's a historically ignorant argument. What else are you ignorant about in the rest of your arguments? So anyway, we got to finish this clip. I'm just
Luke, can we get to the rest of the clips? Calm down, Luke.
Is that the card you thought was coming out before, Luke?
Yes, you're here.
Okay, all right. So here we go.
Yeah.
This lost prophecy to him personally. And this isn't necessarily unusual for Smith. He often claims special revelations. For example, in the Book of Mormon, Smith claimed to have received golden plates from an angel, which were then conveniently taken back to heaven, leaving no evidence behind. Question 4. Who told you about this prophecy? Smith's answer? Me. Joseph Smith claimed that God re-revealed the prophecy directly to him and no one else. Here's the point. Okay, no true prophet would actually answer me to question number 4. It's an absolute watertight, nailed down, ironclad sign of a fake prophet.
Wow.
This is all the man. This is real slipshod.
Yeah. So when he does, so now he does his 15 comparisons between Joseph Smith and Muhammad.
Ah, okay.
And as you've noticed with his 4 questions that are a definitive test, that's a nail-tight case against somebody, that's just kind of an ad hoc thing that he made up. He was probably watching the Mike Winger video and was like, wait a second. I'm doing a video on Muhammad right now that kind of sounds a little bit like this. I'm not going to research it anymore than what Mike Winger said. I'm just going to throw it in
doing
there
doing my
make
work
up all
for
this
me.
history. He even said in the Book of Mormon, Joseph Smith claimed he got gold tablets. I'm not sure he knows.
No.
Like, if you actually know the story of the Book of Mormon, that's a really weird way of explaining it, because it makes it sound like in the Book of Mormon, there's the story of how Joseph Smith got the gold plates. So does he not know that the gold plates were the Book of Mormon, or I don't know.
So
I give
here's
people benefit of the doubt if they're speaking off the cuff, but this was like a produced, it's got good editing going on, all that stuff. There was a script, and he still like can't really get the basic facts right.
It's really shallow.
I think we beat that horse to death. Let's move on to some of the comparisons that he makes between Joseph Smith and Muhammad real quick.
Oh, let's do it.
Because they're kind of not great.
So this is 2544 in the video, Luke. Do I got that correct?
How demons manipulated Joseph Smith and Muhammad. That timestamp that I put in the Discord.
And we got to get to the memes. Should we take a meme break?
Let's do one clip, then a meme break. One clip, then a meme break. Okay, so it's how demons manipulated Smith and Muhammad. I'm pulling it up
No big
right
deal,
now.
right? All right, let's move on now to just.
And I'm playing it at double speed. I don't want to play it at double speed, so I'm going to change that right now. Boom shakalaka. Here we go. Cameron Bertuzzi.
Smith, who also couldn't seem to avoid dark forces in his life. Before his first vision, Smith claimed that he was overcome by a dark power, leaving him completely paralyzed and surrounded by thick darkness. This first-hand account can actually be found in the official Mormon scriptures, namely in the Pearl of Great Price. And this was not a one-off occurrence. Smith reported several encounters with demonic forces, conveniently happening right before his biggest revelations. Now,
Wait, my
what?
gosh.
What?
That is...
Okay.
That is
okay,
so
no, just
bad.
as a missionary, just so you know, wait, hold on. Cameron Bertuzzi, just so you know, the people that watch your video and think, because you're representing this as some encounter with the demonic. The second, if you were to tell me, well, I saw this video, elders, and now I'm shaken up, and now I don't know if I want to go to church, now I don't know if I want to learn more, I would whip out this little flyer that I had that's the Joseph Smith history, where it's his journal that tells just the real story of what happened and contextualizes that experience. It wasn't a freaking seance, dude.
Yeah, what? Yeah, like
what?
And in the full context, he pairs it with, there was this story of Muhammad who like thought he was getting revelations and was telling people he got revelations, and then later he was like, oh wait, never mind, sorry, that was actually a devil that was trying to influence me, and backtracked. And then he pairs that with Joseph Smith saying that the devil tried to stop him from praying before he got the first vision. It's like, see, they're the same thing. No.
Oh my gosh,
and the person that I hand that flyer to is going to spend
you could
3 minutes reading it, and they're going to say, oh, I was completely misled by Cameron Bertuzzi. And they're going to disregard all your other arguments. Like when you make videos like this, you make our missionary work so much easier.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. You lose credibility.
Say, so Muhammad encountered devils a lot. Here's this one story about it. Do you know who else did? Jesus.
Wait,
At
okay,
the very
so
start of his ministry, Satan was taking him around to different places and had entire conversations with him. That's way more than Joseph Smith had.
We're going to reference this, Luke. Okay, we're going to reference this. Now, I actually don't have a copy of the Bible. I'm a Mormon, so I don't read the Bible. I only have a copy of the New Testament for Gen Z. It's the unofficial ChatGPT translation. It's by Joseph Smith. We're going to use this for our reference here today.
Okay.
We're going to chapter 4 of the Gospel of Matthew. And it says in verse 1, so Jesus gets led into the wild by the Spirit, right? His purpose? To be tempted by the devil, man. And this dude fasts for a solid 40 days and nights. And guess what? Dude gets mad hungry afterwards. Then the tempter rolls up to Jesus and is like, yo, if you're really the Son of God, make these stones turn into bread, bro. But Jesus comes back with, nah, man, it's written that life just ain't about bread. It's about every word that comes out of God's mouth, you know? So there you go. Proof there for Cameron that Jesus Christ himself, he encountered the devil right before his ministry too. This guy is arguing against Jesus Christ. It's driving me crazy. Has he ever read the Bible?
The Sadducees, Pharisees, one of the two, were telling people that Jesus was casting out devils by the power of the devil.
Yes. Have you ever read
They were
the Bible?
using like almost the same exact argument against Jesus. And Jesus had to say, hold on a minute, slow down. If I'm casting out devils, then aren't I on the other team from the devils? The other side of the competition?
Jesus Christ quoted books that were not inside the Bible, extra canonical sources. He cited prophecies that are not included in the Bible. And Jesus Christ overcame the devil right before his ministry. Exactly like Joseph Smith. Exactly.
So let's do another one.
I don't know what else to say.
Okay, I'm just going to press play and we'll keep going.
Now,
this
let's
one's
contrast
actually even a little crazier if you can believe it, this comparison that he
Wait,
makes.
do I keep playing this video or is that timestamp
No,
over?
the next timestamp.
Okay, so I'm going to X out of that one. Next timestamp for cool-headed Luke. I'm pulling it up in the Discord. This one is, if I remember correctly, fake prophets capturing Christianity. Here we go. Boom.
of all the spoils of war. So while his followers were fighting in battle, Muhammad was getting paid. Joseph Smith wasn't exactly living on crumbs either. Sure, he introduced tithing, a common practice in Christian churches, but Smith went well beyond the norm. He wasn't content with just 10% from his followers. He managed to amass significant wealth by acquiring large amounts of land and properties. His religious empire in Nauvoo became a hub of economic activity. And let's just say that a lot of wealth ended up in Joseph Smith's pocket.
My
This was
Guys, the Roman Catholic Church apologists are saying this. Guys, look. When you go to Wikipedia, look at Wikipedia, richest churches in the world. When you go to Wikipedia, richest churches in the world, I had to do this when we were debunking the Ensign Peaks not scandal or whatever. So the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints showed up, all right, on the top of the net worth in the United States with 265 billion. Everybody joked around and said hashtag make it a trillion, the whole 9 yards, right? And here's the list, right? Well, what's so funny is when you look, when I have the screenshots when we did this original post, when you looked at the Catholic Church, the Holy See, Vatican, it's at the bottom of the list. And why is it at the bottom of the list? Under wealth, it says unknown. And it says not available due to widespread properties globally. They changed it. It used to say immeasurable wealth.
Immeasurable. Right?
It used to literally say immeasurable wealth.
So
this guy's talking about freaking Joseph Smith selling a few copies of the Book of Mormon at cost. And meanwhile, he's sitting on an empire of stolen gold from countless wars, sitting in gaudy, beautiful cathedrals that were built with the blood, sweat, and tears of real believers. I get it. But dog, you can't be making the you're too rich argument while you're sitting on a literal golden throne.
Cardin, it was worse than that. He wasn't saying the church is rich today, therefore bad. He was saying Joseph Smith was super wealthy.
Which is bananas.
Just absolutely. I've never heard that before.
I've never heard that before. Tithing? So that's totally anachronistic, okay? Tithing was not what it is today back in Joseph Smith's day, first of all. That's completely insane to say that.
Yeah. It's like, there's not really even anything to debunk. But
no, there is. Dude, Cameron Bertuzzi. Do Mother Teresa next. Actually, wait. What's sad is actually, from what I understand, I think Mother Teresa was outed. We got to find a better example.
Did you hear
Gandhi
Jesus
next.
Christ? Jesus Christ got like this really expensive oil. He could have sold it to feed the hungry, but no. He was sitting on this cushy ministry, getting his feet massaged by the pretty local women, just
The
like
only way-
Joseph.
The way that Joseph Smith, the dude was like a storekeeper. For most of the time, he was a prophet.
He had, they call him a treasure digger. He wasn't a treasure digger. He was a day laborer for a guy who was he was so desperate for money because his money was impoverished that he agreed to do manual labor for a guy that was digging for treasure. And they try and make it out that he was like some kind of treasure digger, like he's renting a boat to go into the Caribbean looking for Spanish galleons.
That was before, but even while he was prophet, he was like a store clerk. He had to get a revelation to assure him, don't work, just do the ministry and I'll take care of you. Don't worry.
He was revealed that you will not be strong in the ways of money. You're gonna be poor. And he just accepted it. It's I'm just gonna be poor my whole life.
Yeah, when he was the prophet, he was trying to do the full-time farm thing and then be the prophet at the same time. He was still a store clerk when he was the prophet, well into Kirtland years and stuff like that. He was constantly trying to scrape together enough money. The saints were constantly in financial crisis because Joseph Smith was building these huge, massive, beautiful buildings for himself. For the entire church membership, to be their beautiful meeting spaces.
So fun apocryphal story. Joseph Smith, when he had a very nice, expensive horse that he had bought, he actually gifted it to a black man so that man could buy his family's freedom from slavery. Not
the
story
one
that
horse
Cameron
that Joseph
shared.
Smith owned, not one of the 200 that he had out behind the mansion house in Nauvoo.
Oh, of course. Sorry.
The
and
one
Lamborghinis.
horse.
Yeah, right. Of course. And the private jet. Of course. Yeah, I forgot about those.
Maybe I should. Yeah, maybe Joseph Smith had more than one. I don't want to pull a Cameron Bertuzzi and just say stuff, but
man, that was bad.
Okay, do we keep going on the
It
clip?
seems like what he was accusing. It seems like what he was accusing Joseph Smith of was having hardworking followers. Because he was Nauvoo, it was super prosperous, man.
Economic powerhouse.
It was an economic powerhouse. So Joseph Smith was a great inspirational leader that taught his people virtuous principles that he managed to actually get them to live by.
Yeah.
Weird.
So do we keep playing this
poor
clip?
guy.
Do we keep playing this clip, Luke?
Nope. We just have one more clip.
Okay, so next clip right here.
Bringing it home.
Okay, if we get 3 more super chats
So this
here.
one was a live stream with another apologist guy who also does a ton of anti-Islam stuff, David Woods. And so they kind of caught wind of Cameron
Muslims will point to you and
Bertuzzi's
be like,
series
"Okay,
that he
see?"
was doing on similarities between Islam and Mormonism, and they did a live stream. And this is how Cameron Bertuzzi exited the live stream. This was the last nail in the coffin that he brought up before he dipped out.
All right, so I am going to, let me see, I'm going to pull this one up right here. And new clip in the new window. Go.
Muslims will point to and be like, okay, see, the paraclete and stuff. But here's one that they appeal to from Doctrine and Covenants, which is one of the scriptures that Joseph Smith added to.
Notice that keyword added. Interesting.
The scriptures, the Christian scriptures. And this one is in section 87. He predicts or prophesies there is going to be a civil war, and he prophesied it, I think it was 30 years in advance. This is, so section 87, verse 3, it starts here. For behold, the southern states shall be divided against the northern states, and the southern states will call on other nations, even the nation of Great Britain, as it is called, and they shall also call upon other nations in order to defend themselves against other nations. And then war shall be poured out upon all nations.
You see?
What do you think? Does that prove that Mormonism is true?
Yes.
That he was a true prophet?
I have to say, it's more powerful than any prophecy I ever heard from Muhammad.
Well, I think it's there is no question. It clearly is the proof that Mormonism is true.
Okay, so they go on like that for a while.
Man, what a boring stream. Sorry. Hey, wake up, everybody. We're done. Wake up. Come back.
Judging by his smirk, here. I think that they were trying to be funny, right?
Well,
prophecies
so
is Pope
Cameron
Francis
says
given?
that Mormons point to this and say, look, he prophesied the Civil War. And then he starts in verse 2 of Doctrine and Covenants 87 and reads that Joseph Smith said a lot of wars were going to get poured out. And they're like, haha, he said wars were going to get poured out. And they think that's proof that he prophesied the Civil War. He
Where
skipped
did they
verse
start?
1. He skipped verse 1.
What's
What does
verse
verse 1 say?
Where
He
did
skipped
those
this.
wars start?
He had it pulled up, but he skipped this verse.
skipped
It's
it.
kind of crazy.
Wait, so what
Verily
chapter? I
thus
got to
saith
pull up
the Lord.
scripture notes. I'm pulling up scripture
Oh,
notes.
yes, scripture notes, Doctrine and Covenants
'Cause he
87,
knows.
verse 1.
Because he read it and he knows. He's
I
like,
was
oh
listening
crap,
to
I
this
can't
and
read
was like-
that.
I thought he was like going to bring it up eventually, but they just kind of laughed about it for another 3 minutes and then he dipped out of the live stream.
Because he knows.
Okay, so
we know you know, Cameron.
So I'm looking at Doctrine and Covenants 87, you said?
Yeah, verse 1. Verse 1, the one that
Okay,
Cameron
so-
skipped.
So here's Doctrine and Covenants 87, verse 1. And it says, revelation given through Joseph Smith on November 1st, 1831. Okay. Hearken, O ye people of my church.
87.
DNC section. Oh, whoops. Yeah, you're right. No, sorry, that was wrong. Here's 87. Okay. So, verily, thus saith the Lord concerning the wars that will shortly come to pass, beginning at the rebellion of South Carolina, which will eventually terminate in the death and misery of many souls.
And where
Okay.
would it start? Where
South
did it start?
Carolina?
South Carolina.
Yeah.
Well, that's an oddly specific claim.
That
isn't it?
is. That
It's
is.
quite specific.
Wow.
And,
And he skipped it. He knows
skipped
it's
it.
there.
And
We
it's
know
not like
you know,
it's not like
Cameron.
he didn't get down to it. It's verse 1 and he started at verse 2.
We know you know, Cameron.
Wow,
So
there
that's
it
the
is.
so yeah, for the other ones it's like, okay, he just didn't do very good research. Maybe he was more focused on the Muhammad stuff and realized he could tack Joseph Smith on later and it didn't quite do any research that he should have done. Okay. When you're skipping the beginning of the verse, that's actually the part that apologists say is pretty impressive. And we don't say this is absolute proof, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying just because he said South Carolina, that means it's absolute proof. We just kind of say, hey, here's another thing to consider. 30 years approximately before the Civil War started, Joseph Smith prophesied a giant war would start beginning in South Carolina. And he was right.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty good.
Also, guys, it makes me think like, so I just really quick grabbed my top 30 rules of anti-Mormons. And anti-Mormon rule number 3, they have no new ideas, only old recycled lies, right? When you don't recite the first verse that specifically mentions South Carolina and you skip straight to what, the zeitgeist perceived as the shaky ground of this testament, right? It makes me think all you're doing is what the Apologia guys do. Just buying the little manual
Playing
that takes
hopscotch. Yep.
that takes the little sections out of context. Sorry, man, I can't pronounce it. Out of context. All right. And then circles them. And then you didn't even crack a book. All you did was recycle the old lie that was probably in your divinity book written in reprinted in the 80s from the original first edition in the 60s that was done by a guy who was hemorrhaging members in the 60s to the Mormon congregation.
Yep.
So he ended up just looking up the anti-Mormon book written in the 40s that was really just a copy and paste of the dude in the 1890s that copied the dude in the 1860s that copied the dude in the 1850s that was some poor minister that had lost half of his congregation to the Mormon church and said, quick, I got to find some crap. Give me their books. I got to prove he's not a false prophet. Okay, what's it say here? Okay, sermon starts in like 5 minutes.
If you cover up that verse, this sounds pretty good. You just
Yeah,
gotta-
no, he's a liar. Look at that. He's a liar because this is what they said. And then it just gets recycled. And it's just a cope. And it's a cope that makes our missionary work so easy. Again, Cameron, my man, I want to help you. I don't hate Catholicism. I love it. I don't view I come at this from a Christ-like perception of spiritual abundance. I don't view this as a zero-sum game. The world is better off the more Catholics we have if they are true to the actual Christ-like doctrine, right?
It is.
If they're true to the most beautiful teachings of Catholicism, the world is far better off. So I don't need to lampoon and dog and take a dump on your religion. I don't need to take it out of context. Every time I meet a Catholic, I don't need to bring up pedophile scandals and popes and all that other nasty history that you have, all right? I don't need to blow out of proportion different things, okay? Sure, we all say funny jokes about other appendages in the body of Christ, sure, all right? But at the end of the day, I don't need to dog on your faith and belittle somebody else's Muhammad or belittle somebody else's Joseph Smith, thinking that it's like a perfect scale. No. This isn't a zero-sum game, bro. A rising tide raises all ships. Just like anybody in any faith believing in something bigger outside of them, believing in a God outside of them first is the first step. Then we can argue the details later. And if somebody wants to convert from Mormonism to Catholicism, fine. I'll disagree with them on doctrinal terms, okay? But it's not a zero-sum game, dog. Chill, bro.
And in that vein, everybody loves memes. Let's get to some memes.
Yes,
here,
you're right.
Okay?
You're right.
You've waited it out. You've listened to Luke rant and rant and rant.
Yeah.
Luke is just on one tonight.
Yes, I'm doing it. Well, it's just like it makes our missionary work so easy when you view it as a zero-sum game, but we don't. All we have to do is contextualize one of your zero-sum anti-Mormon claims, tell people, look, take what you have that's beautiful and come play in our sandbox. And people say, wow, what a relief. I don't have to hate you. I don't have to hate my Muslim friends. I don't have to hate my Presbyterian neighbors. It's like, no, God didn't either, bro. You know what I'm saying?
You know, when I watched Conclave, by the way, for all the Catholics who are listening to this, when I watched Conclave, I thought, you know, it paints all these Catholic cardinals as just these selfish, corrupt, slimy, backstabbing. I thought, man, some of these guys have devoted every breath to the service of Jesus Christ. They're in orphanages. They're knee deep in human waste in Bangladesh, you know, caring for people. And these Hollywood execs come up with this movie trying to mock Catholicism. I just thought, I get it. They're trying to make a dramatic story. I get it. And it was a cool story or whatever. But, you know, Catholics do marvelous things all over the world, and they help, and they have for hundreds of years. There's been wonderful, godly men and women in the Catholic Church that are examples for us all. And so, look, it's not a zero-sum game. Okay, memes are the other thing. Not a zero-sum game.
Okay,
Everybody
I got the
benefits
first
from
two
memes.
right here. I got the first two memes right here. Okay, so I'm gonna have to make this a little bit smaller, and I got to put my little list here of anti-Mormon rules. I got to remember to put that back up on the whiteboard. But okay, so here we go with dem memes. I don't even want to know where you got these guys, but it's
What are we looking at?
They're hot off the press. Okay, you've got Macron, you've got Trudeau, may he rest in Prime Minister peace, and Barack Obama, and it says Christians, Jews, Muslims. The Old Testament is divinely inspired. Pork is bad. And they're both shaking.
Jews and Muslims agree. Hey, we agree on pork is bad. Christians and Jews believe, hey, the Old Testament is divinely inspired. Actually, Muslims do accept a number of Hebrew prophets. They accept Jonah.
Oh, really?
And many of the Hebrew prophets as well. But I thought that was a great little meme. By the way, that is not a commentary on what we believe Barack Obama's religion is. That just happened to be the caption in the meme.
Yeah.
Okay? All right.
All right,
next one.
cool. Okay, so the next one that we got here, I'm also pulling up all three of them so they can be ready. It looks like the next one that we got here, I see four faces. It's the Wojak meme. So here we've got emotional Wojak, and I'm making it bigger here. Here is emotional Wojak, and he's saying, your ancestors enslaved mine 200 years ago. It's your fault. Your ancestors attacked mine 300 years ago. They deserved it. 2 Corinthians 25:4, the father shall not die for the children, neither shall the children die for the fathers, but every man shall die for his own sin. And then there's the Nordic Chad saying, amen.
That's actually Corinthians. I expected you to know. Yep, it's Corinthians.
Yeah.
But yeah, true Christianity doesn't care true teachings of Jesus doesn't care about these old things. You're not going to start a war or justify a war because of something historical. Grow up. Don't do that. That's why Joseph Smith accepted everybody in Nauvoo, Muslim, Catholic, everyone, people who were trying to kill him. He wanted religious freedom for anyone and everyone under the sun.
That's just because you're a filthy pacifist. Go to war, those wretched pagans. Fight to the... No, I'm just kidding.
Love your war. You guys love your wars. All right, what do we got next?
Next one is percentage of population that is Muslim.
Yes, well, this is not a meme. This is just a reminder, okay, that if you're following Christ's injunction at the end of Matthew to take the gospel and preach it unto all the nations of the world, then maybe you should stop spouting such hate to like half of the planet. Okay, because there's an awful lot of our Muslim brothers and sisters out there. Try to build bridges instead of burning them down. This is just a reminder that, hey, we're going to all these places. The Church of Jesus Christ, we're going to all these places. We're coordinating with them. We're building temples in these places. Maybe
lots
you
of temples going in West Africa, and you can see how dark green that is over there.
And that's where Luke handsome Luke served. Okay, so
okay, this one is really funny. This next one is hilarious. You got two girls. One is reading the Bible. One is reading the Quran. And the blonde girl reading the Bible says, "Look, you're going to hell." And then the girl reading the Quran says, "Oh my gosh, you too."
They're just smiling. OMG, you too.
That is, if there is nothing more that we can rally around.
Hey.
If there is nothing more that we can rally around, it's that we're all infidels going to hell, right? Just
Yep. There you go.
Okay, that's funny. All right, and now the next one we got here looks like it is a meme from a guy named Mark. Just say that an angel revealed it to you. Oh gosh, is that from one of those?
So this is a common accusation that they say, oh, Muhammad and Joseph, because it was revealed to them by an angel, which, by the way, every prophet of the Old Testament, an angel appears and gives them a book. I don't know what you people are reading. I don't understand what you're reading, but whatever.
There was this virgin called Mary. And
yes,
this entity came. What did they call it? Oh, the angel. The angel came to her.
Zechariah in the temple, and whatever. But they say, oh, a demon is appearing to Joseph and Muhammad, saying, "Tell him an angel revealed it to you." So the response to that is right underneath this card, and it's in black. This is the response meme to that.
Ooh, the response meme, which I do believe would be the next one. I will pull it up. It is the Muhammad and Joseph Smith one. Boom.
Right underneath it, it shows Satan. Satan is now looking over Joseph Smith's shoulder. And Satan is, you see this guy?
Satan is looking over. Oh, I do see it. So the response meme is the following. Boom. Satan,
so
good.
Says,
now write that there shall be no other name given nor any other means whereby salvation can come unto the children of men only in and through the name of the Lord omnipotent. Joseph Smith. Wouldn't that thwart your kingdom, Satan? I don't know.
He's just like, well, whatever. Like, tell him the demon revealed the Book of Mormon. Have you ever read the Book of Mormon? The Book of Mormon won't shut up about the devil being bad and Jesus being good. Like, what kind of an idiot devil?
I've realized that the Satan of creedal Christianity has it really easy. Like, be good to each other. Yes. Pray. Love each other. Get baptized. Pray to Jesus. Only Jesus can save you. But it's a Jesus that's a different person than the Father. So that's how I'm going to get him.
It's not your work.
Like, he has it so easy. All he has to do is change Jesus a little bit to be something that even the early church fathers wouldn't have been able to see the distinction between, because they were talking about it too back then.
Right.
And he's got you away from Christ.
Meanwhile, Jesus, creedal Jesus is like, you don't have to obey any commandments at all. You can be a jerk. You can do whatever you want. There's no ritual. There's no spirituality. There's nothing.
That's more Protestant Jesus.
Protestant Jesus.
A caricature of Protestant Jesus, which some people do teach.
Oh, Luke. Oh, come on,
but it's not
Luke.
held widely.
You just have to confess.
I'm trying to save you from
Lord,
the clips,
Lord.
Jonah.
Just say, Lord, Lord, and then everything's fine.
Okay.
All right, next meme.
It's actually the last one, and it's I think it's from a Marvel movie. Muhammad, you're just a cheap knockoff Joseph Smith. Oh no, I'm the upgrade.
Yes, now this is interesting, because this is one thing that actually Islam and Catholicism have very much in common. Very much in common. Islam and Catholicism both believe that revelation is done.
Yeah.
Prophets and apostles are done. That's one thing that Islam and Catholicism and creedal Christianity actually very much agree on, is that things are just different now. We're never going back to how it was. And Joseph Smith rejects that completely. And Joseph Smith says, this is the restoration of all things. You want healings, you want visions, you want, preaching the gospel to the entire world and building temples to connect with God and to overcome death and to redeem your kindred dead. Now's the dispensation to do it. And that is something that every other religion agrees on, is that it's just never going to be like it was. Nostalgia, just heartbreak, homesickness for every other faith out there except for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, rock on. All right, guys. So we got about 5 minutes left in this stream. If you have any more super chats that you would like to send our way, any commentary you would like to give, we should start calling them super translations. Because, like they always butcher the term. If you have any super translations you'd like to give to us, just like insert that into the nomenclature.
If you'd like to hear any verses read from the New Testament for Gen Z, you can super chat us a verse. We'll also read that.
That is too funny.
I think we have the pirate. I think I have the.
Oh, you got the pirate Bible
on? Oh my goodness!
Here?
I've got the pirate Bible also right here.
Hey, remember when Mike Winger said that the pirate Bible was a Mormon conspiracy to lead astray evangelical youth?
Yes.
Yes.
He's saying it's nefarious. It's a plot. Best plot ever.
Okay, so please, everybody make sure that you like this stream, all right? Because, we're going to be winding down here, but we're going to have a lot of fun. Like 5 minutes of Ask Me Anything, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to catch up on a couple of the super chats we got here. There was one that came in really fast. Words of Mormon says, praying for response to my email. Still interested. Oh, gosh. We get so much correspondence. Luke, is that ringing a bell, my man? Words of Mormon.
True. Did you put Words of Mormon as your name in the email? Or
yeah,
I try to read the emails.
Yeah,
I'll poke around.
So many of those. Yeah, but anyway.
Ping us again.
Brown
We'll find it.
Brown Native gave us a super chat. That's just a super chat. So thank you very much, Brown Native. And Devin Glenn says the land that Joseph Smith, quote, acquired was literally donated by faithful members. It wasn't donated to Joseph. It was donated to the church. Now, in all fairness, some land was deeded to him, but then it was often given away also when deeded away, because at that time, before the church was formed, there was the land of the Nauvoo house was deeded just straight to him. Because when he died, that's why the RLDS church ran away with some of the, I shouldn't say ran away, but ended up with some of the property through the line of Joseph Smith III, was because wasn't the Nauvoo house deeded to Joseph, and therefore it fell under the property of Emma, and therefore fell under the property of him. And then when the RLDS church was started, if I remember correctly,
one of Emma's big things when Joseph Smith died, of course, besides grieving for a husband, was she was very concerned about her own finances, because Joseph Smith and the church were just kind of like the same thing, and it legally, entity wise, in many respects, and so many. Not the great enormous wealth of Joseph Smith, but just like their house and a little bit of their savings wouldn't go on to her that easily. And there had to be kind of like this figuring out what Emma was going to get, what was part of the church. And the church wound up with a lot of it.
But also, guys, we're talking about one
rich.
house in 1800s Nauvoo. We're not talking about the wealth and treasure of entire conquered empires and peoples. We're not talking about sacking and leveling an entire city, slaughtering its children, and then carrying all the money back to Rome. We're talking about a brick building in Nauvoo, Illinois, a flyover state and city that nobody's ever heard of, okay, except for Mormons, and like the title and deed to like one house on foolscap paper compared to all the others in town that were underneath the church. It's like, this is the length that Mormons will go to. It's absurd. Anyway, keep going.
Oh, he didn't have like any fancy, like, can you find me where he had like this really nice suit that he was walking around in, or Like
No,
where he was
no.
where he was sitting like eating all this amazing stuff, or like going to New York to see operas, or
Joseph Smith
Nothing.
lived his life as
Nothing.
a pauper. He was driven from state to state to state. He was locked in prison. He was being dragged before judges constantly.
Joseph
He had to
Smith
wallow-
fulfills the criterion of embarrassment that early saints and early martyrs fulfilled far
Yes.
better than any modern Catholic or any North American Protestant. So to see Catholics besmirch his sincerely held religious beliefs as foolishness, and those that died with him, that lost entire fortunes, lands, property, loved ones, were slaughtered and beaten. Early Mormons are more like early Christians than any other denomination that currently rests on American soil. You can take that to the bank, Cameron Bertuzzi. You can take that to the bank. So any rubric that you use for early Catholic Christians being correct needs to be fairly applied to early members of the church. And I'm not saying you have to believe their version of the story, but they deserve far more respect.
But to paint Joseph Smith as making some sweet coin off of this thing is coming from you, Cameron, is just so rich. It's just so rich. No pun intended.
Oh, brutal. That's funny.
So rich. But we have some more super chats to get to here.
Oh, hit it. Can you read them out loud really fast?
Let's see. Oh, can I find them? Yeah, let me go back. All right. Thanks for highlighting my meme from John Davis. Oh, were you one of them? Oh, well, thank you, John. A lot of these are in the Ward Radio Discord. If you want to go find some of our memes, head to the Ward Radio Discord. You can find that on our website.
Rock on.
Dr. Spreckles says, Jonah, do you believe Islam is the Antichrist? No, that's stupid. Let's see. Message retract. Sorry. That is no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I don't want to. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm saying it. People who say that Islam is the Antichrist. No, it's definitely not the Antichrist.
No, I'm saying it. No, it is stupid that's what they think.
That's just not.
Yes.
No, that's not it at all. No.
Have you ever
Brian
sat
Bacon-
in Jerusalem at a meal that was paid for by a Muslim because you forgot your wallet? Okay. I know people that have. I've sat at meat in Jerusalem with Muslims that have paid for my dinner. Have you ever crossed the border into Saudi Arabia and not know where you're going? And then a dude come out with 2 orange juices that he bought for you because he recognized that you were a wayfarer, and he holds so sincerely his Muslim beliefs that the traveler...
Guest host law.
What'd you say?
Guest host law.
Yes, the guest host law.
Huge.
He goes in, he sees we're Americans looking for a religious site, and he says, "Oh, are you thirsty?" And he comes out with orange juices and gives it to us.
Now, if you want to know the virtues of Islam, you can look up in Surah number 12, verses 20 through 30 or so. It'll tell you the virtues of Islam. You're supposed to be good to your parents. You're supposed to eschew pride, and you're supposed to be modest in all things. You're supposed to be charitable. You're supposed to be charitable to the orphan, and you're supposed to be just. And all these virtues are outlined in Surah number 12. You can go look it up. I think it's verses 20 through 30 or something like that. So, no, it's not the Antichrist. No, geez Louise. Brian Bacon, but we're talking about $1 million checks toward radio. $1 million checks toward radio. That's true. Remember that all your tithing eventually comes to us here at Ward Radio. Just to remind everybody here, okay?
We make
Words of Mormon.
millions.
Words of Mormon says, I'm the one with the ultimate Islamic convert and the Lehigh Bedouin Arab theory. Oh, it just vanished. You must hear. Words of Mormon has the ultimate Lehigh Bedouin Arab theory. We must hear. We want to hear it. Email us.
Oh,
or
I
find us
do
on the
remember
Discord.
this email. No, I do remember this email. Yes, we're interested in hearing this. I love this idea. I think it's great. It's pretty awesome. By the way, has Cameron Bertuzzi ever slept in a Bedouin goat-haired tent?
Oh, my goodness.
Does he know what that's like? I do. So, dog, yeah, they're feeding me. They're feeding me as they're giving me a nice little mat to sleep on, and they ignored the fact that I snored all night. Great
Yeah, that's not
people.
the- that's
Bedouins
not
are
the
great
Antichrist.
people. They're not antichrists, all right?
Not the Antichrist. Jeez Louise.
By the
Sorry,
way,
no.
have any of you guys ever even touched or felt the goat hair tents the Bedouins use? Been that way for like 1,000 years?
No, that's super cool.
No,
I
it's
slept with
interesting.
goat
Goat
hair
hair,
before, but-
when it gets wet, it expands. And so they have this cloth
Right.
that's woven out of, I think it's goat hair, if not goat skin, goat hair. And so when it starts to rain or sprinkle, it plumps up and then becomes watertight. And then as it gets hotter and drier, these microscopic holes open in it. And then the
Cool.
air can come in and can like breathe. And they make these, like, dude, some of them are huge. They're like practically circus tents, bro. Like just
So cool.
at the size of four, like maybe a 6 or 7 car garage will just be these tents held up by these poles, and they can withstand the storms. And it's really cool because a Bedouin family will like set up shop somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And then for a while that tent's there, that's home base. And you're going to go out to go search for whether it's food, water, ruins. I mean, there's Nabatean ruins only 15 yards away from where this Bedouin guy is living, almost exactly like his ancestor did 4,000 years ago, if not for the gasoline and propane that he's got in the tent. You know, I mean, it's just absolutely amazing.
so cool.
With that
What a
said,
trip.
with that said, if you ever do go hang out with Bedouins, practice eating rice and chicken just with your hands. Like just go to a restaurant with no utensils a couple of times
boy.
so you don't look totally stupid, because there's a lot of that going on. Like, I mean, you'll literally see them come in after like they'll ride a camel in, sit down, you know, wash up for a second, and then just scoop out a bunch of rice and boom, and you're like, whoa, bro.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, wow, like they dive right in very seriously. Okay. So
Now, speaking of Islam being the Antichrist, there is one thing that which they're not. There is one thing that we should all say. There's a very important difference between us and Islam. A very, very important difference. Besides the fact that we believe Revelation is ongoing and they do not, which is huge. They have that in common with the Catholics. I'm sure that Cameron loves to hear that here's how Cameron Bertuzzi is just like a Muslim. We should make that video. But there is one very important difference, and that is that we believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of the living God who died and rose from the grave to atone for the sins of the world and to harrow hell and conquer death. We know that. I know that. I get my testimony from that from the Book of Mormon, which was translated by the prophet Joseph Smith in 1829. That's how I know that Jesus Christ indeed did live and that the Bible is true. I know the Bible is true because the Book of Mormon confirms it. That's how I know. I could convince myself that the Bible was made up or whatever. But when I read the Book of Mormon and I see the miracle that it is, I think, oh my gosh, it's all true. So the Book of Mormon is the foundation of my belief and my knowledge that Jesus Christ really did live and he really did die and then he really did live again. So that's a big difference we have with Islam. Just wanted to point that out.
rock on. Spoken like a true veteran of the war in heaven. With that said, if you guys want to pick up your veteran of the war in heaven hats, they are available immediately in the Ward Radio merch store. If you want to support the channel, make sure you buy a shirt or a beanie or some other kind of cool bit of merch in the store. And last word will go to Luke Hansen, who brought us these clips. He's the one that caught this, saw this, and made this episode is brought to you by cool-headed Luke. Luke, you take us home,
Who was
brother.
just trying to watch a video on Islam a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And here we are, defending Joseph Smith somehow. Like, how does this happen?
That's funny. That's funny.
So, Cameron, I have a proposal for you. If you don't want to have us on for one reason or another, cool, fine, your channel. But if you want to really go after Mormonism, I propose that you don't make up what the apologists say and leave out the first verse in Doctrine and Covenants 87, or say that Joseph Smith was massively wealthy, or come up with this criteria to analyze claims to his prophethood that he wasn't even making at the time. Go to the Book of Mormon and take that on. I suggest possibly picking up this book by Josh
book.
Gailey. It's a good little review, just so you don't argue like an atheist, a review of the evidence for the resurrection compared to the evidence for the Book of Mormon, showing that there's strong evidence for both. And maybe take that angle and really hit us where it hurts, instead of kind of making up all these stories about what our history is like and then attacking those straw men.
And
Just my
compare
suggestion.
that book to this, the New Testament for Gen Z, or, if you will, to the Pirate Bible. Okay, and see what you glean.
See what you glean. Now, before we go, I will say, Luke, good on you, bro. I'm going to put this on the screen right now. I noticed that you dropped a super chat in the last live stream we were watching. And that super chat to them, as they were live streaming about Joseph Smith, you said, the Joe was false prophet vid made a big omission. Smith didn't use his Bible translation as evidence of his prophethood. Seems like you didn't research or are bad faith if you leave that part out. Ooh, savage, man. Coming into the super chats.
And they read it after he left. So I was there and I super chatted that. And then he said his Civil War prophecy thing and dipped out. And then they got to the super chats. Yeah. No, I don't know if he saw it or not. But they read it and were like, oh, yeah, okay. But it still would be sus if he made a prophecy about himself and then kind of moved on. So
yeah, all right. That's
where
way
that super
too
chat
funny.
went.
That is way too funny. Okay, so speaking of super chats, we are all caught up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. It has been totally awesome. Big shout out to everybody that is a member of our channel. If you haven't joined the YouTube channel, join the YouTube channel. There's 3 things you got to do. This is the way to be an awesome Ward Radio fan. First, subscribe. You got to make sure you subscribe. We still have a heavy percentage of people that maybe you don't like creating a YouTube account. Maybe you log in from a desktop. Maybe you watch it at work and you want to be able to erase your browsing history or whatever it is. It is worth it subscribing to the channel so you get an alert every time we make a new video. Okay, and make sure there's a little bell icon next to the subscription button. You make sure you click that as well so you receive alerts on every video that comes out. Okay, the second thing is, if you can, join the channel. Members get all kinds of cool perks, especially on YouTube. You oftentimes get access to videos up to a day early. Sometimes it comes out a half day early or sometimes an hour before, but you get early access to videos on YouTube.
Some videos I think only go to members.
Yes. We also have some videos that only go to members. Those are usually actually
the shirtless ones.
Yes. Feet pics. But Mormon feet pics beat any other kind of feet pics. All right, missionaries with hangnails, baby, gotta love it. So,
oops, my video went out.
Oops, your video went out. That's funny. So anyway, if you join the channel, you're going to get early access to videos. But this year, we're going to start putting up bonus content. When we film like the first hour, the first 22 minutes of a video, if it goes to radio, oftentimes it's 22 to 25 minutes. But if there's good stuff or a continuation of that good stuff, we're going to make it members only content available at the website. So if you go to wardradio.com, we still have, for a reduced price, the beta memberships. I think it's only $1.99 a month right now. But that's going to go up to $5.99 a month for the additional content.
And it's not memberships for betas. It's the beta version.
Yes.
Different. Good clarification.
Yes,
good.
Exactly. If you want to be a beta, go to a non-denominational Christian rock church.
Oh,
but it's come on, it's all music, no doctrine. You know what I'm saying? But okay, you're right. Okay, actually no, I wasn't calling out one specifically, so that's fine. But oh look, I got a nod out of cool-headed Luke. So he's like, okay, he's the propriety person. Like if Luke says, okay, fine, fair. You know what you would be good at, Luke? You'd be the guy in Parliament or in Congress that dictates the parliamentary rules. That just makes sure that, you know, everybody follows the parliamentary rules. You know, who's that guy in Congress that like knows all the rules in Congress and the way things have to get done? And even Nancy Pelosi has to defer to him sometimes, even though she's been there 30 years.
I think it's the parliamentarian.
Yes.
Yeah.
The parliamentarian. Yes. You'd be a good parliamentarian, Luke.
Thank
so an ecumenical parliamentarian in the body of Christ. That is going to be your title. It's almost as long as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints instead of Mormon. So anyway, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. If you can join the channel, please join. If not, become a member on the website. Either way, there's going to be cool perks. And all y'all need to make sure you go to wardradio.com and purchase our shirts. Make sure you also purchase Jonah Barnes' book, The Key to the Keystone, available at plainandpreciouspublishing.com. And you can sign up for Luke Hansen's OnlyFans, except for he doesn't use OnlyFans. He used Fansly. No, I'm just kidding. He left again.
Oh, his video went out again.
Yeah, the video went out again. Oh, man. He's got that on.
You guys hear me?
He's got that on speed dial, baby. He's got that on speed dial. That's funny. So anyway, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. It's been real, and it's been fun, and it's been real fun. For this and more, please make sure that you check us out at wardradio.com.
I built a rocket in my basement. I'm gonna fly it to the moon. This supersonic is amazing. You're gonna feel my sonic boom.